Olakunle Soryinka is described as an iconoclast, catalytic thought leader, global expression, influence strategist, futurist culture shaper, philanthropist, social impact investor, spiritual guide, and mentor. Popularly called the Rukus, he works globally helping leaders and high-impact individuals reach deeper dimensions of meaning and purpose, discern and embrace their due season for newness, architect higher levels of expression, global influence, and continued relevance for themselves personally. Olakunle Soryinka runs Kenneth Soryinka Research and Ideas, and is also the founder of Shrea Africa, a non-profit that mobilizes and empowers 1% of African population who live in Africa, as well as people of African descent everywhere, to function as a movement unlimited in thought and action.
Thank you so much. Pastor Shola, I really want to celebrate you again for your magnanimity and continuous investment in what I do and what I represent. I don't take it for granted, honestly. And I want you to put your hands together for Pastor Shola for the visionary understanding for penetrating culture today. I also want to thank all the leaders in the house. Pastor, thank you so much, always, for your friendship and all that you do, all the leaders in the house, and you all that have made time to be here, all the good people of Lighthouse for this investment. We celebrate it. So I'm just going to go straight to the point, and I'm going to be talking about some basic monetizing ideas and thoughts around creatives. So if we did not establish anything yesterday, we did emphasize the urgency of the times and how things have changed and how borderlessness and truth technology, right, is the new comfort for all ideas. Now, if you look at this room alone, it tells you, what is going on in your space and probably how people in your space see your space. Because if we change the theme of this conference to how to wrestle to no more spiritual attack or something like that, some dramatic theme about spiritual maneuvers, this hall will be full. Everywhere will be full. The moment it is dimensioned into thoughts and thinking, orderly thinking and processes and systems and structures, you catch just a few people. But you see, the comfort in that is that's how the world works. That's just how the world works. I told you yesterday that only 1% of the population of the world control 99% of the wealth of the world. Only 1% of the world's population control 99% of its wealth. And therefore, the remaining 99% struggle within the 1% of wealth that is available. Just imagine that. So you don't need a bunch of keys to open a door. How many keys do you need? One key, the right key. So we don't need everybody. See, when change begins to dance, usually the majority does not hear the sound. Only few get that sound clearly and respond to it. So now you are here. Your critical goal is about what you are going to do differently. Every time you come into a knowledge room, the critical things you need to focus on, it's not the rhymes, it's not the good statements. It's about, first of all, what you need to stop doing. Number two, what you need to begin to do. And then number three, the things you probably are not clear about yet, but you need to go study and research further. The energy of change is simply about what you need to stop doing and what you need to do. Whatever you are hearing anywhere, I don't care whether it's a seminar, a conference, church, on the counseling table, in the mentoring session, whatever knowledge you are receiving, if you cannot dimension it into what I need to stop doing and what I need to start doing, you have not learned. That is the energy of transformation. Now, there's a sensation of victory you feel once you come into a knowledge room. It's just like when you are struggling with maybe fever or temperature or malaria or something. The moment you start moving towards the hospital, just begin to feel better. By the time you are getting to the hospital, you may have no symptom anymore. And then you can say, well, I think I'm fine, and then go back. You see, it's energy. You are in an environment of change. Because you are in that room, there's an assurance deep inside of you that is inside out. And so there is a resonance between your reality, your expectation, and the environment you are in. That resonance, right, gives you some relief instantly. Now, if you ignore the doctor and say, I think I'm fine, you're going to suffer a relapse you probably have never seen, you couldn't have prepared for. So what you are feeling at that time, you are not healed, but you have a sensation of victory just because you are in that environment. To have the experience of victory is a different ballgame altogether. Then you have to proceed to see the doctor and make changes. Right? That is what this type of events are about. But there's a sense in which you can come into events like this, just go away with the sensation. Right? The experience of victory itself must come down to what you will stop doing and what you will begin to do. Are you clear? It must come down to that. So, as I begin to articulate my thoughts now, please avoid writing down good words. Like, the movement is in the movement thing. Don't write those kind of things. I will advise you to just divide your sheet into two. On one column, what I will start doing. On another column, what I will stop doing. And resist the temptation to write down words. You can buy the audio later and go play the words if you want to catch all the rhymes. But for this room, in this moment, focus on those two columns. What you need to stop doing and what you need to begin to do. By the time you are done and you collate what you've written in that place, then you have great decisions to make. When you want to destroy your life, you are going to make wrong decisions. On the day you decide to change that life and fix the problem you have created, you are going to make fresh decisions again. Everything comes down to decisions. The decisions you make and how you commit to them. So, when it comes to creatives, you have to understand that you are dealing with an intangible reality. You know, it's easy to be an accountant and know the instant value of what you have as a degree. Society places a premium on it. There is an industry standard for rewarding accounting, right? There are associations that define how it works, right? You have ICANN, you have ACCA, you know, there's a minimum level of understanding that greets that particular skill or discipline, right? The same thing for law, the same thing for medicine. But when it comes to creativity, it's a different ballgame. But because it's really very difficult to begin to dimension that into some particular value that works for everyone. So it's almost like the stock market, where there is a lot of perceived value. It's really about the premium you place on it yourself. Now, the advantage of that is that there is no comparison. So people always ask me, why are your products so expensive? Why are your solutions, your sessions so expensive? And I ask, what is your option? Really? What is your option? If you don't pay me to do it, tell me who you are going to pay. You are going to have to sweat to find somebody else, isn't it? So this is the value I place on it. So that makes me a monopoly. So because I put a price on it, you can't say it's expensive or it's cheap because you can't find a substitute product to say, but Pepsi is $2. Why is Coca-Cola $3? You can't find the other Pepsi. All you have is Coke. So if they say it's $200, you can't say, well, why is it $200? Because you have to bring another product that is $50 for you to say it's too expensive. So what you are saying is that it's not expensive. You just can't afford it. Do you understand? But what you might have missed is that I didn't prepare for you. I prepare for those who can pay me for it. Do you understand? So in the way I put myself out, in the way I put my solutions out, in the way I represent myself, in the way I tell my story, in everything that I do, if you are honest to yourself, you know that I didn't come to serve you. And the people I came to serve resonate towards what I represent. But there's no bigger tragedy for you than not to appreciate the value that you carry yourself. And not to understand the meaning that it has for you, the value that it gives to those who experience it. So I think it begins with that. That sense of recognition of what you have, how distinct it is, how authentic it is. What exactly is the value of this thing to the human condition? How does this make a change? Why should people pay attention to it? Or this is why they are paying attention to it. This is how they will part with purchasing power to invest in what you have. Now let me shift that a bit, right? To understand that there are now realities that, whether you like it or not, almost every human being, almost every sector, almost every industry, almost every idea is subject to. Part of that, for example, is that whatever idea you have, it has to pass today. Please, let me make it clear. If you are trying to do something small, and you just want to build a little economy for yourself, I'll be speaking over your head today. Right? When I'm speaking to Africans now, or I'm speaking to Christians, but more so Africans or black people, I try my best to challenge you to see what is available and how you can take your stake in it. Because at the end of the day, Africa does not lack successful people as it lacks great people. There are people who have a lot of money, but they are not unlocking any gratitude in society. There were marriages that were fine until the man started making money. Do you understand? There are people I know that if they succeed, it is stress for society. There's a young man I met one time who came to me and said, this year, this must happen to him. I said, may it not happen to you? Because I think that one of your greatest sense of recognition that you have within you is that you know you are very handsome, and you seem to be clear about the impact of that on young girls. The nuisance value of that, I also recognize it. You are better poor. Not that in your poverty your nuisance is not expressed, but it's contained. How it can scale is limited because affair is a budget. When you want to date 19-year-old, you can be writing poem. But at your age, if you want to date a 35-year-old, you don't write poem. It's check. And you don't have it. So you are contained on many levels. You are better poor. Society is safer in your poverty. Money in your hand is a vice. Because you will torture all our girls, other people's wives. You are a crisis. People like you, I don't pray they make it. No, sincerely. And I said, somehow though, let's be clear. Money finds a way it can find a way to your hand. I just wish there is a process that check mentality and character before value can come to you. Unfortunately, there's no visa for that. So there are people who shouldn't, but people do. But the idea is that I look at young people and I say, if this person succeeds, what is the value of this for society? What does it mean for our community? There are people who are successful, who have the money of an entire village or an entire state in their bank account. And the community has no proper health care. They have no proper, nothing works. The roads are bad and all of that because the money is in one person's account. So, there's enough food in the world to feed everybody. God has been faithful. There's enough food to make sure not one human being goes to bed hungry. The problem is distribution. That's the problem. A large chunk of it is in the hands of the wrong people. So in the same way, if you succeed, and you become the next Bill Gates, or you become the next Mark Zuckerberg, or you become the next, Elon Musk, why? What is the value for society? What do we gain? How do you impact on GDP and per capita income? What does that mean for us? Does that mean more stress for our families? Does that mean more stress for our kids? What kind of value are you bringing? And as people of God and as Africans, also we must understand that we've lost our right to think solely of ourselves. Just because of the weight of pain out there, right? By the end of today, I think about 2,500 kids are going to die. What is going to kill them? Shortage of food, lack of water. That's what's going to kill them. Nothing else. So, in that kind of environment, with all that is going on around us, kids dying, diseases of all kinds, right? You need a sense of mission. Some type of social responsibility. Some personal social responsibility. Such that by the time you succeed, or by the time you begin to make $1, society is grateful for that. There is something you attract in that kind of understanding. It's easy to want to be like Bill Gates, just because you envy the type of corporation he has built and how much money he has. But will you care to also understand that he's the highest giver to any cause? Of all those giving, whether to terrorism or to the gospel or to whatever, is the highest giver. So, just imagine that you are God, really. Will you ignore a force like that? Quite frankly, I don't even think it's about whether you will ignore him. That is why you permitted him in the first place. Because you know that this one can handle this capacity. And it's not going to get the money and just come and be sitting in front, harassing some people, moving around with big cars, and just shining and taking care of his family and friends, and society continues to. One person wrestling down polio in nations. The money of one person wrestling down. And these guys are fulfilling scripture on the daily, such that when the other rich man in the world, maybe the second or the third or the fourth, Warren Buffett was going to give away about 70% of his income or something like that, of his money or something like that, who did he give it to? You will have thought he would give it to the poorest country in the world, like Haiti or Tanzania, or he will give it to, no, he gave it to the richest man in the world. Because scripture says that he that has, more shall be given. And the one who doesn't have, or who doesn't use what he has, he says shall be taken away. But you will thought that when it's taken away, it will not be given to people who are poor. No, it will be given to the one who has. These are principles. So, I need you to see a picture. How much money do you need to give society $1 million? How much money do you need to have? I'm going to run very fast. How much money do you need to have? Can somebody try? To give maybe your local government $1 million to do social work. How much money would you like to have before you can do that? Let's go. Who can try? Yes, please. Go ahead. Just say it. $5 million. You'd like to have $5 million, you give one. Yes? Any other person? You'd like to have 1 million, and you give the 1 million. Interesting. Yes? One more person here? Yes. 3 million, and you give one. 1 million, then you give 1 million. Okay?
I think if you have 100,000, you can still give out from that 100,000.
Okay, great. Yeah, I get that. But the question I was asking is, how much do you need to have to give $1 million? Right? Well, if I have $1 million, I doubt I'll give $1 million. Because, I need to continue. There's no point giving $1 million and be jogging around. So I have work to do. I have to take care of the work I'm doing. But I will give maybe, after I've taken care of what continuity, meaning that I can go back to work tomorrow and I can fulfill my responsibilities, pay my bills in the office, take care of salary. Whatever is left, I can give the whole thing. Right? It makes sense. $3 million to give $1 million, I think it makes sense Even $5 million to give $1 million, I think it makes sense. Right? It makes sense. That's a lot of giving. You know? Some people say, well, if I have $1 million, I'll give $1 million. Well, have it first. Let's see. But that's a symposium discussion. But the idea is, as people say 100 million. As people say 50 million. Those people will never give anything. But this is the real idea. Don't wait for $1 million. And so we're going to camp around what she finally said. Start now. Begin to show the universe that God has made and the elements he has permitted in them that you are ready for that level of responsibility. Yeah. So if you want to supply water for all, you want to eliminate the shortage of water in the world, start by giving a bottle to one person per month today. And be faithful in giving that one bottle. Before you know what is happening, your business begins to prosper. You can afford 2 bottles. 2 bottles. Before you know what is happening, you can afford 5 bottles. Before you know what is happening, you are affording 200 cartons. Before you know what is happening, you are digging boreholes in different cities, in different villages. Before you know what is happening, you are investing $10 billion, eliminating famine in the world, eliminating, shortage of water, investing in some type of research that will get water directly to the desert or something. If you want to feed everyone, you don't want hunger in the world again, the way to start that is not to have a dream that one day I'm going to give $200 billion. No. Start by feeding one person on your street with 200 naira a week or a month. Be faithful in that little and see what's going to happen. Yeah. I think as an African, you have lost your right with all the pain surrounding us to really think of your progress without thinking of the collective. And probably that is one of the things we need to also begin to think of legislating. In America, doing good is good business. Yeah. Because everything you give to a non-profit is tax deductible. So they're pretty much encouraging everybody to give. You see what I'm saying? But we have to start by showing society that people are better. Many years ago when I was still more focused in Nigeria, when I'm going out, I used to have water and soft drinks in my trunk with ice and all of that. When I get to a checkpoint, I park. I'm not the kind of car they will stop, usually. I'm the kind of car police will just allow to go. So they won't stop me, but I will park and I will beckon to them. So when they come, I open the trunk and say, open it, get some drinks. Just get some drinks. When I get to checkpoints, I just call the police officers and just give them something. Listen, they need it. You don't understand? Please permit me to do this for another 5 minutes. They need it. This is very important. A policeman, do you know that there is nobody, 99.9% of police officers never dreamt to be police officers? 99.9% of policemen you see is the proof of failed dreams. In this part, or who in this room said, when I grow up, I'll be a policeman? Gone are those days where people say, when I grow up, I'm going to be a teacher. Gone are those days. Not here. A lot of people who are in teaching in schools are big company rejects. They are the ones in our schools. A lot of people, not all. Now that is super true. Bless God for you. Bless God for you. I know so many teachers who are not passionate about it, and justifiably so. They are not wicked people. They never plan to be teaching. He studied some other course and he could not get any job. He has not been able to advance. And they said that indolence is as much a problem. So he can't be idle. So he got a job in his school to come and teach. Do you know how many teachers are teaching without no teacher training at all? And then he gets into the school and he has to begin to teach. He hates teaching. He hates school. He hates the children. He hates himself. But he has to teach. You see what I'm saying? Because of survival. Do you understand? A policeman and an armed robber have the same background. I hope you know. You have to be careful how you judge people. You know that the police officer here and the armed robber here grew up in the same neighborhood under the same economic conditions. One of them chose to be a police officer. Honestly, it's noble. It's quite noble to have chosen to be a police officer. His friend did not choose it. He chose to be an armed robber under the same economic condition. Then they grew up and the armed robber has a gun. The policeman too has a gun. Then his salary is not paid. If it's paid on tiny amount. Do you know police officers die every day? Do you know they die for you? I hope you know that policemen die in this country fighting crime. I know there's no insurance. They die for nothing. Their children, everybody gone. They have stressed. When he was alive, they were stressed. Now that he's dead, no, there's no adjective to describe their condition. You have to go and sit with them to understand what the kids of police officers go through, even while the police officers were around. Do you know that it's better to die than to endure the torture of failed dreams? Do you know every human being has a dream inside of them planted by God? That if anything, I have a right to raise my children, to believe that they will do well enough to offer me comfort at twilight. In the least, every human being has that. To now know that you will never have it, you know you are not going to have that thing, is torture. Probably one of the highest level of torture. So the police officer cannot dream. His dreams are useless. He's hungry. You don't pay him regularly. He's endangered critically. You not give him a gun and say, protect us. Wow. The last person with his type of hunger and insecurity who had a gun was the armed robber. You don't allow the police officer to be in that state and say, give us a gun. Take care of us. So if he asks you for a bribe, honestly, it's probably the highest level of kindness. There are other things he can do. He can shoot you off. You are the one that has a vision. I always tell people, every poor person died twice. Twice. You don't threaten somebody poor with death. If he's afraid, he's not poor yet. By the time he's living, but trust me, he's dead. How do you tell people that if you traffic cocaine to our country, it's capital punishment, we will kill you? And they will say, we will still do it. Because he's already dead. Say, when I did not traffic it, what's my state? I'm dead. If I traffic and I escape, I live. If you catch me and you kill me, well, I'm already dead. So I'm going to try it. So you are the one that have a dream. The guy will just look at you and say, what is he saying? One day, a police officer stopped me and I said, good afternoon, sir. He said, what did you say? I said, good afternoon, sir. He said, I got to go. I said, no, because of my own research, I was curious. I was like, maybe you stopped me. Why did you ask me to be going? He said, oh, God, go. Don't worry. I said, no, I just want to understand. He said, so he volunteered the information. And I'm just paraphrasing. He said, in his life as a police officer, nobody has said sir to him before. On this job, nobody has said sir. So he's so deprived of dignity and honor that at the mention of a word, sir, it didn't matter if I have 300 human heads in my trunk. It didn't matter anymore. It didn't matter if I have guns, if I'm going to go and rob a bank. It didn't check me, just said, go. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, at times we need to be extra aware that we are not enough. That we are all living in a fragile system. And that people really need help and support. And that the fulfillment of our dreams has to be about the lifting of community. Not just about our own comfort. We have to represent that from day one. And we have to let God know we represent that from day one. I've lost count of how many school fees we've paid abroad. Not because we have the money. I'm telling you the truth. We do some things. I was telling somebody, I said, you actually think I have a lot of money. Because I did this, you heard that I did this, you heard that this person is schooling abroad, and we paid the school fees. Look, sometimes I don't have a dime in my bank account. And that same day, somebody is reaching out to me and say, sir, I need this help. And this is the help. And this is what we need to do. And I'm like, okay. Now, I don't respond to everything I hear. We investigate, we check it. But if I pass that idea to be noble and something has to be done, is that the money is in my pocket or is in my network? Yeah. So we're going to go for it. It's yet to fail till today. Just the commitment that we can make a difference. You know, we can change our corner of the world. You can't change the world. The world is too big. Be mindful of your corner of it. Maybe if you really mind the business of your corner, you will see the geography of that corner expanding and expanding and expanding. Right? So I want to first challenge you. And this is not in the books. Today, by the end of the day, take a decision about a percentage of your income from today that is going into personal social responsibility. Decide it. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. If you can't do a percentage amount, say from today, 5,000 naira, I will put it aside to look at my environment and commit to a cause. Yes, do something. If you are earning above 70,000 naira in this country, you can bless somebody with 500 naira a month. You can. And it may look like nothing to you, but there's somebody that will receive 500 naira, you have changed their life in that moment. And if you commit to that 500 bucks every month, before you know what is happening, you are giving that 500 bucks to 20 people. Before you know what is happening, you are giving it to 2,000 people. Before you know what is happening, you are paying some money for some people, you are creating relief. Before you know what is happening, you have a budget of $1 billion going into welfare economics every year. You are building libraries, building institutions. We have to think like that. All of the people you admire, from Bill Gates to Elon Musk to all of those guys, are committed to some work in society. And because of this, there's a compelling need for them to succeed. Even God understands that. And he opens doors because he knows that for every resource that goes into this direction, there's immediate dividend for those who are vulnerable. You understand what I'm saying? So get out of your own comfort zone. Don't just be so. The more focused you are about your own success, understand that, let it count for somebody else. Let your success be meaningful for somebody else. Right? I don't give food to people because I don't believe in that kind of investment. First of all, I don't have enough money. I have little money, chasing a lot of needs. So I leave some other people to give people food, to distribute shirts and shoes. I don't do that. I focus more on things that have high potential for reproduction, that can be reproducible, like education, right? Like education, like startups, like businesses, like helping people start businesses and having a conversation with them when they're going to help somebody start their own. So we're not just giving you money. You know, when are you going to be giving somebody else? How's that going to happen? Can we understand that? Can we commit to that? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It is when each one is responsible for the other one, and we understand that all of us on this side of the earth are responsible for how the world is experienced, and that the actions we take and the decisions we manage becomes the legacy that we create, that others must have comfort in right after we are gone. Are we all here? Is that clear? Take that decision today. 10,000 bucks every month, 20,000 bucks every month, 2% of my income. From today, 1% of my income. Document it. Celebrate it. If you're a bigger business, go to the press, do media. We're doing this. Let us scale this good. Let it become popular, that people can reserve a part of their money to live society. Are we together? That's my first challenge to you. The benefit of that, though, is that when you give, it shall be given unto you. So understand that when you sow, you reap. And there's a harvest for the commitment, particularly when you bless environments that you don't own. Giving is not about just releasing money from your pocket. When you pay school fees, it's not giving. If you pay school fees of your children, it's not giving. That's duty. If you give your wife money to cook and to take care of the family, that's not giving. That's duty. Giving is when you empower a world beyond the one you own. That is giving. So when you give to friends and you give to family and all those kind of people, you are not giving. Who should you give to? You give to those ones. That's duty. But when you give to environments that you don't own, then you are a giver. I have to say this one before we move into the technicalities. Because this is where things don't scale. This is how somebody makes all the money and everybody. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? So be that bridge and take that decision now. How many of us take that decision today? How many of us take that decision? Take that decision. From today, I will commit to amount to the welfare of humanity, to the advancement of humanity. Every month, I will put 2,500 aside. I'm not asking you to do a lot. I'm saying just start a little fire and see what God will do with it. And you know that the more money you have to spare is also an indication of how much you are making. So as you put something aside, you know, it's the one that gives bread to the eater and seed to the sower. So if you commit to the seed, he will give you the seed to sow. Are we on the same page? Next level now is bring technology to everything you are doing. I said that yesterday briefly, but I'm going to emphasize that very strongly now. And I'm going to just rush over the principles real quick and I get out of your face. Bring tech in it. You see, before COVID, online was the back door to what you do. After COVID, online is the front door to what you do. Offline is the back door. Do you understand what I'm saying? Online is not the front door. You see, Primark in the UK nearly died during COVID. Because before COVID, offline was the front door to his business. Amazon on the other one was, God knows how many percentage in profits, all through COVID. Because long before COVID, Amazon was, online was the front door to the business of Amazon. What that means is that if you are a shoe company, you are not a shoe company using technology. Once you do that, your use of technology is linear. It means you are using technology by buying machines and equipment. That's your technology. Because technology is like a miracle. Anything that creates ease, multiplies speed, creates affordability and comfort is a miracle. Hello? Yeah. So a plane is a miracle. You see? And that is technology. So when you have technology in your thing, that is the effect. Now, if you are a doctor, you are not, if you are a hospital, before COVID, you were a hospital that uses technology to treat people. So it means your use of technology is limited to stethoscope, X-ray machine, MRI machines. You see what I'm saying? But after COVID, you are not a hospital using technology to treat people. You are a technology company that is treating people. If you sell shoes before, you are not a shoe company that is using technology. You are now a tech company selling shoes. Do you understand? Before COVID, if you are a church or a ministry, you are a ministry using technology to reach people. So your use of technology is limited to microphone, keyboard, speaker, and stuff like that. After COVID, you are a tech organization that is reaching people. You are a tech organization doing church. You are not a church using tech. You are now a tech organization that is doing church. So if you are a pharmacist, you have a pharmaceutical store. You are not a pharmaceutical store using technology like the machines you use to collect money and all of that. You are now a technology company that is selling drugs. Perfect example, Amazon again. When Amazon started, what were they selling? Just books. They were not selling anything, just books. But they were selling books not as a bookstore, but as a tech company. And when they dominated book sales and they became a master of it, they already have a tech platform that could sell many other things. They had a website that has attracted the whole world to selling books, and they have all kinds of eyes on that website. So, hey, it's the same technology. It doesn't cost us more. Let's put a shoe there. Let's put a shirt there. Let's put cream there. Let's put hair cream there. Let's put wristwatches there. And before you know what is happening, Amazon is selling everything. Because Amazon at that time was not just a bookshop. They were never a bookshop. They were never a bookstore. They were a tech company that was selling books. And so the speed of diversification is easier because of the platform you already have, which is technology. Are you here? So online is the line. Online is the future. I don't care what you do. If you cannot be represented online, you are jogging with speed into irrelevance. Because with online, you pass two critical tests. You pass the test of visibility. 3 critical tests. You pass the test of visibility. You pass the test of recognizability. You pass the test of transferability. Visibility is that all the computers in the world are on one spot. That's what you call browsing. Every time you are online, you are actually in front of all the phones, computers in the world. That's a big sea. That's some massive ocean, man. With tech, anybody, anywhere can see you. I always tell people, stop pursuing your dreams. Position for your dreams. And the best way to position today is online. If you take online away, how do people in New York see you? How do they know what you are doing? Right now, you could put your work on your website and anyone, anywhere can run into your work. Anyone, anywhere. Barack Obama can see your work tomorrow. Bill Gates can see your work tomorrow morning. And that work is in Abuja or somewhere in a village in Accra. Once you have a phone, you have data. That's it. Anyone, anywhere can see you. So with that, you must enlarge the territory of your service. You can't be thinking of Abuja anymore. In fact, it is a self-initiated limitation to be online and think only of your geography. Once you are online, you've lost your right, really, to think only of your geography. You have to transcend the limits of your locale and begin to think universally. It means you are ready to pass the test of universality, not just of locality. Think of the biggest picture. You alone can so change so much for us as a nation. You alone, just your app alone, can impact on GDP more than every other company in Nigeria. But you got to see that picture though. You got to think of that kind of big money. I always talk to entrepreneurs, and when I finish talking to them, I say, man, they don't get it. Because all he wants to do is just shine, blow. What is blow? At 500 million naira, you don't have $1 million yet. $1 million yet. At 500 million naira, you don't have $1 million. And somebody is a billionaire in dollars. And you want to blow. What is that blow? That blow essentially is to achieve a status that puts a crown on you as a one-eyed king in the land of the blind. Because essentially the strength you pride yourself in is a very powerful thing because of the darkness of your environment. It is the ignorance of your locale that defines how special your state is. By the test of universality, you've done nothing. You're not a millionaire because you have 500 million naira. You are a millionaire with 500 million naira because you are in Nigeria. By the test of locality, you are a millionaire. By the test of universality, you are not one. Because you don't have $1 million. The moment the status you pride yourself in changes in value because you crossed a border, you were never there. The strength of a material is in its universal appeal. It's global weight. A wristwatch has to be a wristwatch in every country. It can't be a wristwatch in Lagos and be a shoe in Japan. Once it's a wristwatch, it's a wristwatch. You can't be tall in Jos and be short in Lagos tomorrow because you travel south. You can't be a millionaire in Naira and be a thousandaire in pounds because you cross border. Once you are a millionaire, you should be a millionaire in every currency. If you are not a millionaire in dollars but a millionaire in Naira, you are not a millionaire. The weakness, the darkness, and the ignorance, naivety of your environment are strengthening you in a status that is a lie, but that shines in front of the blind people who observe you every day. You want to be a millionaire? Don't work one more day then. Assuming my theory is untrue, just take 10,000 naira and go to Zimbabwe. You are a millionaire. With 10,000 naira, once you land in Zimbabwe, you are a millionaire. Billionaire, actually. You'll be giving tip like the tip. $4 million. 4 million Zimbabwean dollars. Tip. You will buy a loaf of bread, 8 million. You are eating 8 million. Only you. 8 million loaf of bread. Only you. The number is a technicality. The essence is the value. So at the end of the day, that is your goal. So what is the American? The same thing you are doing. But American is looking at it. How is he looking at it? How is he looking at it? So at that level, seek to pass the test of universality. Whatever you pride yourself in, ask yourself, if I present this in Paris, will they respect it? If I present this in Brussels, will they respect it? If I present it in Rio or Sao Paulo or in the United Kingdom or in New York or Dallas or in Johannesburg or Conakry or Dakar, will they respect it? Or will I just be another one-eyed king in the land of the blind? Do you get what I'm saying? This is how they think in Microsoft. This is how they think in Google. Or is it only Americans who buy Windows? Or is it only Americans on Facebook? Or only Japanese people buy Toyota? So you have to ask yourself, when you are global, it's not because you have crossed a border. Once you cross a border, you are international. You are not global yet. There are so many ideas. I see African churches in America or in London, and it is still Nigerians coming there. I tell people boldly, Nigerians don't live in America. Nigerians live in America, in Nigeria, inside America. That's it. And then you build a church and it's only Nigerians coming there. Or you build a company, you build a store and only Nigerians come there. And you say you are global. You're not global. You are international, we admit, because you have crossed border. You are now global when people of diverse cultures and languages are investing in that idea. If you open a bank in London as a Nigerian bank, if only Nigerians are coming there, you are not a bank. Well, you are a bank, but you are a simple kiosk offering comfort to your people. You know what is sympathetic resonance? You see? So if you have a bank that is global bank, like we say, then the Chinese have to come in. The Japanese have to come in. The Americans have to come in. The British have to come in. Just like it's not just Africans who wear Gucci. Sorry, Italians who wear Gucci. It's not just South Koreans who drive LG or use Samsung. You have to pass that test of universality. Think about that. So when you think about Japan, Honda, Mitsubishi, Sony, let's go, Hitachi, Panasonic, JVC, you could go on and on. Attracting purchasing power from all over the world and bringing it to headquarters in Tokyo. The same thing with Korea. Samsung is there. Hyundai is there. Kia is there. LG is there. Attracting purchasing power from all over the world and bringing it to headquarters. Boom. The same thing with Germany. Heineken, SAP, Adidas. Come on. Volkswagen, BMW, Opel, Mercedes, Audi. Purchasing power from all over the world, bringing it to headquarters in boom. The same thing with America. Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Twitter, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Google, and all those companies that all of us can name a brand, like I said yesterday. Attracting purchasing power from all over the world and bringing it to headquarters in Seattle, or headquarters in New York, or in Dallas. That is the game-changing factor. Shepherds, idea shepherds, who understand that we can build something of such intrinsic value that the whole world can see, the whole world can invest in, and we can aggregate all of that value and use it to comfort our people back home. You see what I'm saying? So, the next thing you are doing, ask yourself, how does this make sense? Why should an American see this thing on his app tomorrow and pay for it? That's the test of visibility. Then the test of recognizability. It's not that they can see you, it's that they recognize you as a solution and as an addition to their lifestyle. So, the way you put yourself out, if you put amala for real, you actually make amala like that, black, and put vegetable by the side with big, big meat, and put it out. The white man is going to say, what kind of pudding is this? Or poo? Because they don't get it. But you must understand that pasta, macaroni, spaghetti is not your delicacy. It's Italian delicacy. It's not even European delicacy. It's not American delicacy. It's Italian. People branded it. They passed the test of visibility. They passed the test of recognizability. And then they passed the test of transferability. So we can move this thing from Milan to Africa and it will still be intact. So how do you do that? With amala. And these are not finished products. These are byproducts of a raw material. You see what I'm saying? So how do we move things like that? Because you have to pass those three tests. The test of recognizability. But to pass the test of recognizability, what you have must fit into the lifestyle of people. They won't just patronize you because it looks nice or because you are nice. It has to come. Did you ask for GSM? Did you ask for tablets? Did you say, please, Apple or Samsung, who's going to make a tablet? We need tablets. Did you ask for it? Did you ask for GSM? I said, GSM. Some of you, maybe you are millennials or Gen Z. You may not understand what I'm saying. But we lived before GSM came. Our lives were terribly slow and we didn't know. We didn't even know. We were not complaining. To us, we were all right. If you want to go and see your brother in Lagos, you are going to travel to Lagos to find out he's not at home. Yes. You are going to actually fly, risk your life, go by road. You could have an accident. Anything can happen to you. You are not going to meet him there. You are just going to go and find out that he traveled yesterday. In fact, they may tell you, oh, he just traveled this morning. If only you had come 1 hour earlier. He just left. Wow. And you will say, yeah, you just say, wow, okay. We didn't feel bad. That was how we lived. Our life was very slow. And we did not know. But some people knew. They now observed our life and said, human life is slow. How can we make it faster? So instead of him coming all the way, can he make a text and say, Uncle, I want to come tomorrow. So, I'm traveling in the morning. Can you come in the night? So text messages, GSM technology, phone call, and then everything became cheaper. Landline went off the grid. And then now, instead of coming all the way to Lagos, you could call, Uncle, are you there? And you pick the call and he's in Japan. Oh, I'm in Japan. Oh, you're in Japan. That's so what. Okay. Can we talk later in the day? I'll send you a Zoom link. Boom. Or FaceTime. And then they are talking. They're seeing each other. To see each other face to face before GSM. Face to face with somebody in Japan. I'm telling you, you are flying there. Yeah. To see him face to face, you are flying there. That was even beyond call. Yeah. To now see him, and both of you are doing the same thing real time. That's another level. You see what I'm saying? These are miracles. You don't understand because you just met into a generation. For us, these are miracles. Because we knew how our life was. And now we have speed. The game has changed completely. Right? Those are solutions. You see? You didn't know that you needed a tablet. Somebody saw your life as incomplete, designed a solution, blueprint around it, and then presented it to your life and it fit. Boom! Into your life. Like Lego. It just fitted, boom! Into your life. That's what you pay for. It's not a can have. It's not a should have. It's a must have. This is not just a problem you can choose. No, this is a solution that if you don't have it, it's to your detriment. See what I'm saying? So is that the level? If it's not at that level, go and work more. It's not ready yet. You see what I'm saying? Answer that question. What kind of premium people place on this? So at the end of the day, your idea has to shape culture. And what does that mean? Essentially, that means that whatever it is you are doing, please note this. Ask yourself, how does it impact on how people live, how people work, how people love, how they play, and how they die? That's culture shaping. 5 things. Is 1, 2, 3, 4, or all of the 5. Your idea must find a room in one of those, or 2 of those, or 3 of those. Every time you hear culture shaping, whether it's a product, or a ministry, or an idea, or a philosophy, or an ideology, it comes down to 5 things. Impacting on how we live, how we work, how we love, how we play, and how we die. How we live, how we work, how we love, how we play, and how we die. That's culture shaping. Think about it. Whether it's Facebook, or it's Twitter, or it's Google, or it's Microsoft, or it's Toyota, or it's Coca-Cola, or it's Pepsi, they are impacting on one or more of those areas. So how does your work do that for real? Whether it's Disney World, it's impacting on how we play. See what I'm saying? So how does your solution do that? Think about that. The moment you pass the test of visibility, recognizability, transferability, whether you like it or not, rewardability comes to you. People send purchasing power your way. You see what I'm saying? And then you look at 8 billion people in the world. How do you capture just 1% of them? Or 2% of them? Or 5% of them? Or 10% of them? If you have 1% of 8 billion, that's 80 billion people, 80 million people. If 80 million people are using your product, do you know how rich you are? Do you know how much money you have? Even if each of them are paying you just $1, that's $80 million. Are we clear?
Yes.
So, number 3 is, what story are you telling? What story are you telling? Thank you. What story are you telling? You see, let me tell you this. Listen to this very well. All human stories, anything you are trying to do, first of all, 20 years ago, if you come here, they give you the microphone and you start talking and you say your first word. So, life, people are going to look at you like, just 20 years ago, you almost cannot start a sentence with so. You have to start with something else. You know, we don't know. You didn't notice that. You don't talk like that. But now, you could just take the microphone and say, not that you were saying anything before. You just come and say, so we're going to pray, and I take the mic. So, we were, and everybody, it's fine. You know why? Because we are in an unannounced age of narratives more than at any point in human history. At every point in time, we are part of an ongoing story. And somehow today, it is almost impossible for people to hear you except you are telling a story with what you're doing. The ear of the audience somehow is looking for that continuity of the story. You have to be telling a story. There must be some narrative. And I have concluded that there are only 6 stories in the world. And whatever story you are telling must fall into one of them. This is why some movies will never sell. This is why some books will never sell. This is why some products will never go anywhere. Because they can't find themselves in those 6 stories. What are these 6 stories? Number 1, Tell her the story of rice, or what some people call grace. The story of rice. That is how something rose. Or it's a story of fall. What some people call grass. Or is rise, fall. Or grace to grass. Or a story of fall, rise. Do you understand? Which is grass to grace. Or a story of rise, fall, rise. Which is grace, grass, back to grace. Or it's a story of fall, rise, fall. Essentially, grass, grace, grass. 6. Go and look for the movie. Go and look for the novel. Go and look for anything. You will find them in those 6. Go and look for those movies that are struggling, or those ideas that cannot go anywhere, that humanity cannot just connect with. You can't find them in those 6. So what is this type of story you are telling? Because that's what humanity somehow wants to hear. These are tiny, tiny things you can miss as you are telling. People just don't want to hear you. You are not that important. People want to connect with you. You also want to connect with people. It's not because you are handsome. Let me give you a story. Let me give you an instance. If you want to get the attention of Gen Z and you say, I'm selling a cake. This cake is sweet. It's beautiful. This cake is amazing. It has so ingredients, so supplement, so vitamin. You're not talking to Gen Z. Probably talking to my generation, baby boomers. Maybe millennials. If you just tell Gen Z that this cake, for everyone you buy, we send 2 to Africa. That's it. They are investing in it. Because they identify more with causes. They demand transparency. You see? So, you have to pretty much fit that idea into that generation or into that lifestyle. There's a glasses company called Warby Parker. Warby Parker. They are probably the fastest selling in the whole world. They are actually. For every pair you buy, they sell 1 to Africa. Man, that's how people are buying. You have a cake, you are selling a cupcake. Maybe you put a powerful coat on the cupcake. Even if it's a scripture or some powerful coat on the cupcake. And every time you are selling the cupcake, don't talk about cake, because everybody can make cake. People that make better cakes are on the ground. Say that we are instructing, we are empowering your day a word at a time. You know. You didn't talk about cake at all. People will pay for that. Or it's cake that is you are really selling. How many of you know what's this coffee company what's this company in America? Dunkin' Donuts. You know Dunkin' Donuts? In America, they sell donuts. But you know what they are really selling? Coffee. Coffee is what they are really selling. But they don't say they are selling coffee. They say Dunkin' Donuts. We are selling donuts. But their real business is coffee. And they are selling more coffee than people selling coffee who say we are selling coffees. But they didn't say they are selling coffee. They take it from their back. You have to find that pressing need and then take it from there. These are the investments. So it's not that the Americans just know how to make apps or just know how to push apps. It's that they pay attention to these things. Finally, as I leave you, answer these questions. Everyone living from 2020, new money has come. What did I say? New money. I don't care how you were attracting your value before or how you are creating it. You have to find that newness. You pretty much have to pivot or disrupt yourself. But there's a new money calling you. So the first question is, where is your new money? Or what is your new money? What is it? Either in the way you are doing your thing or away from it. But there's a new money calling you. It could be in your same space. It could be in your same industry. Like somebody says that, I said, what do you say? I'm a graphic artist. I don't think that will sell in the world. I don't think you can call yourself. You don't understand how creatives have just changed. There are rooms I come into today and I'm prophesying just because I don't say I'm a prophet. If I said I was a prophet, I would never get into those rooms. And I practically get in there and I'm prophesying. You know why? Because I say I'm a futurist. That's what I am. Because that is strategic foresighting. But I'm more than that. There are things I've spoken to that were accurate, but I have no mathematics for how I arrived at that conclusion. Because it wasn't logic, it was revelation. But I could speak to it. And then it was coming to pass. And people were saying, why did you figure that out, though? At times, I stand in the place. I say that we have some, depending on who I'm speaking with, if we still need to penetrate more. But there's so much insight available. There's so much resource background that is not visible. But my representation is more critical than that resource background. Otherwise, they won't even give you a stake in that room. You understand what I'm saying? So, whatever it is you are doing, where is that new money? What is that new money? Next question on that is that if you know what that new money is, who is holding it? Who is holding that money? Let me ask you a question. Who is holding the money of Indomie? Who is holding the money of Indomie? All of us. Yes? Who's holding? Mothers. What do you say? Kids. That's the answer, actually. It's not mothers. The mothers hold the money, but the kids determine where that money goes. It's the kids that say we want Indomie. The mother doesn't care whether it's Indomie or Mimi or whatever. She doesn't care. But the kids say, we want this, we want this. Then the money goes there. At times, the person keeping the money is not necessarily the one that holds that money. It's just a custodian. When Indomie is not all of us. We all eat it. But if you go and ask Indomie, where's your critical market? It's families. And in those families, it's the kids. That is why if you see all their adverts, they don't show a man and a man talking. They show children. It's children that are driving the narrative of the advert. Because that is who they are addressing. Critically, that's their target. You understand what I'm saying? So I asked someone when we used to do some single and married work way back with Pastor Bimbo Dukoya. And we were going to go and pursue some corporate associations. And I asked the team at that time, where is the money of single and married? This is a Christian organization doing single and married. Where is the money? You want to go and look for advert for your TV show as single and married. Where do you go? Shell? Do you go to Shell? First Bank? Where do you go? Restaurants? Maybe. Fashion? Maybe. Yeah? Universities? Church? You can't even go to church because church are looking for money. Church itself need money. That's why we are going to the corporate organizations. Wedding accessory, yeah, but you see, essentially it's family products. Just say family products. You see what I'm saying? Single and married. Sanitary towels. Right? Do you understand what I'm saying? What is it for singles? What is it for married people that are critical? It's not restaurants. People can eat easily somewhere else. So the money is in PZ. The money is in Unilever. Do you understand what I'm saying? The money is in Procter & Gamble. That's what the money is. Once you miss that question, where is the money? You have sent yourself on a wild goose chase. How did they call it? Wild goose. You have sent yourself in a different direction. That question must be intelligently answered. Just don't answer it with what you think. You can come up with what you think, but you need to talk to people, dig, investigate, and really say, where is this? Who is holding this money? Now, if you know who is holding the money, how do you reach the person? But when I say who is holding the money, I don't mean one person, no. I mean the demography. How do you reach them? How do you reach them? Where is the money? Who is holding it? How do you reach them? If you know how to reach them, I mean, how do you reach them? Like, where are they really? Do they congregate in a particular way? Is there something they like to eat? Do they sleep at a particular time? Is there somewhere they like to go? Is there a way they like to think? Where is the money? Who is holding that money? How do you reach them? If you reach them, what do you say? What's your story? What are you promising? What are you offering? What do you say to them? What's your message to them? If you know what to say, how do you say it? How do you say it? Do you need a podcast? Do you need some digital marketing? Do you need a website? Do you need some kind of pop-up stores? What? 5 questions. Every time you answer that 5 questions, it's either you are pivoting or you are batting a new market for yourself. Where is the money? Who is holding it? How do you reach him? If you reach him, what do you say? If you know what to say, how do you say it? And don't forget what I said yesterday. Right there with your talents and your giftings is just really nothing. You have to move yourself around those things I've said and really take yourself to become an authority and find time to listen to that again. But most importantly, it is your job to rent a space in the heads of those who observe you on a daily basis. It is your duty to actually rent a space in their heads. Once you rent a space in their head, what you are doing is governing their thinking and governing their behavior. And you do that through 2 things. Very key. Word and imagery. Word and imagery. That is all you've got. Now, this is the science that a lot of creatives ignore. It's either you know how to do it, or you're going to get people who know how to do it. But you are not just going to mistakenly find yourself at the highest level in the world, attracting purchasing power to yourself. Now, the moment you understand word and imagery, what are you controlling with that? Word and imagery then connect with impulse and imagination. So you are using word and imagery to control impulse and imagination. The moment you arrest those 2, and you arrest that 2, you arrest word and imagery, you arrest impulse and imagination, you got yourself a wild market in the world. That's what Coca-Cola is doing. That's why they are in every refrigerator in the world. That's what Microsoft is doing. That's what Google is doing. Google is a massive monopoly. Right? If you go to Yahoo website, how many things do you see on that website? On the landing page of Yahoo? Countless things. All kinds of things. Articles, all kinds of noise on the page. If you go to Google page, what do you see? Nothing. Straight to the point. Just Google. But if you are Igbo, there's Google for you. If you are Yoruba, there's Google for you. You even click it on Independence Day in your country, it will become green, white, green. Beat that. So you want to be clear about who you are reaching, what is most important, and Yahoo is Google is kicking Yahoo in the butt. Like, how much was the Yahoo bought for at the end of the day? As of my last check, I think it was $400 million. Beat that. So, as I close, my time is up, but as I close, I want to challenge you, really, to first of all, see the world. See the world. Think beyond your locale and see the world. You can do it from where you are. People can see you and pay you from anywhere in the world. And pay you. There's something called a gig economy now. There's a lot going on there. If you know how to design, they called them graphic artists in 1980. Definitely you can't be called graphic artists in 2022. You have to find some kind of imaginative illustrator or some kind of creative technologist. You have to find some better name for yourself. And it's existing out there. You just can't be a blast from the past, doing the same thing the same way and expecting that somehow your results and your outcomes will be different. Have I helped you? Are you sure? And the last thing I want to tell you is, and this is as important, very, very important. Find a way to ensure that whatever it is you are doing, you are earning in foreign exchange. Right? It doesn't make sense to continue to plan your highest meaning in your local currency, as you have seen. In 2019, 2020, I had predicted that by 2022, the Naira will be selling for over 700 Naira. In fact, later in that prediction, I went ahead to say for 1,000. Did anybody get that prediction? And when I said it that time, it looked stupid. Like, at that time, I think we were still on 350 or some amount, or something like that. But here we are, and we are not done. So there's no point earning your money in Naira, man. By the time you earn 1.5 million, it's just about $2,000. It's nothing. That's rent in another country. That's 1 month's rent. So you have to think of that value and say, how do I earn my money in dollars from here? From here. But at the back of that, never forget, is that you are offering a solution that can stand side by side those offering that idea in New York. Because the guy in New York, trust me, knows the value of every dollar. If you give somebody $5 in America, in Nigeria, he will like you. If you give somebody $5 in America, he can worship you. They know the meaning of $5. They know how much work you have to do to have $5. So to get somebody to send you $20 every month from New York, I'm sending it to you as a subscription service every month, right? That takes a lot. That takes a lot of attention because there are so many people that are asking for that same service, asking for that same $20 in his economy. So why should he ignore these guys and give you that $20? Now, there are people that are outsourcing things out of America like crazy because in America, there's dignity of labor. And to pay someone, you are going to pay, man. I called somebody to come and help paint my fence. When they gave me my bill, I was depressed. Like, really? I'm going to pay this guy, this is what I will pay like a CEO in Nigeria for whatever. I'm going to pay this guy like to paint my fence, and I couldn't paint it myself. So I had to endure to maybe $3,000 or $4,000. Now, if I pay somebody in Nigeria, if I pay him 100,000 Naira, he will be very kind to me. He will do it with all diligence. And I'm looking at like, you want to hire a driver in the United States? A chauffeur? If it's an ex-convict and he has gone to jail, maybe you will pay $2,500. Do you know what $2,500 is? That's like over 2 million Naira. That's what you are going to pay a chauffeur. Chauffeur. And it's an ex-convict. Otherwise, you're paying $3,000, $4,000. So you know everybody drives themselves in America, except you're a celebrity or you are some millionaire. You actually have to drive yourself. Because the cost of having a chauffeur, you have to be very rich to do that. You can be somebody in a Range Rover or a Porsche, you have to drive himself. If you want to have a chef, in my house in Lagos, way back, I had a chef, I had 2 housekeepers, I had 2 security guards that run shifts, I have 2 chauffeurs. The money I pay all of them is, if I put it together, it's less than $1,000 that I used to pay all of them. That doesn't pay one person in America. So that is where you come in. You speak in English. The skills of your space is a universal language. Design is design anywhere. Once you understand the dynamics, you know the color management, you know space management, there's so much you can do, and you can give somebody the same design that an American will give. It's a universal language. So once you understand that, it's easy. Then you can charge maybe 50% less. So if they're going to pay $500 for that design, you can afford to do that at $50 or $100. And then you can put your work out there to see. You put your portfolio out there, they see your design, they know it is real. This is not actually, this is a real skill. And then you offer some type, you come on maybe Fiverr, or you come on, say, Upwork or something. Or you even build your own service and put your own digital marketing for everybody to see. Before you know what is happening, you are not just winning, you are thriving, you are attracting purchasing power, creating jobs, you are outsourcing more to people around you. So much begins to happen just because you respect those dynamics. Think like that, and it's only a matter of time before we see you at the highest level possible. God bless you.
Well, that's... You may be seated. Once I was invited to, a special dinner was put in place for me, for my wife and I, and it was a 5-course meal. You know, we're used to 3-course meals. 5-course meal, from one level to another. And I waited for every single piece of that 5-course. Exquisite food, real excellent work, done here. Small amounts, but very tasty. This one is more than small amounts, PK, This is more than a 5-course meal. And I like your advice. There's no point in writing anything. Just go back and go, listen to the things that have been said, and I hope that you're able to retain something. When PK speaks, sometimes, you can almost feel like some people just say, they shut down. You see, I'm hearing, yeah, because it's like, how can these things be? But no matter what it is that has been said, what is important is for you to be able to take it and own it within your own context, and then be able to push the barriers and make the things that is said a reality. So don't let your mind go into, mental blocks, because when people hear Microsoft, it's like, me, Microsoft, how can I, compete and all of that? But find out how they started. They started small. I think that's a strand that has run through everything that we've heard today. Start where you are. Powerful thing you said, which I think we do, but not on a consistent basis. It's the idea that you need to learn to make donations to your community and society on a consistent basis. And that was one of the powerful things among many other things. And sometimes we do. But it's that consistency that we need to apply. And if all you're going to do is say, look, 500 naira every week to someone, and you make it consistent, you will attract heaven's attention. And you thank you for the things you said. Sometimes our religious minds limit us. We think people like Bill Gates are not instruments in the hands of God. But God is looking for who he would use to bless humanity. And he's looking for a willing vessel. And if he finds a Bill Gates, resources will flow through him. And you are here speaking all your whatever spiritual languages, but you're not positioned to attract heaven's attention. Well, it's not my intention to reiterate the things you said, but thank you for really blowing our minds out of the water. And this is PK's last session, so he's heading back to Lagos today. If you've been a part of the house, this is home for you, and this is home for him. This is not his first time here. This is an exciting time for him to just break down, these truths for us. Now, we're going to be going into our second session, and while he was up sharing with us and facilitating that session, Kunle Idowu walked in. I'm expecting to see a pink shirt And I wore a pink shirt yesterday, quite interestingly. And also Kemi Adesoye, my sister, walked in as well. It's good to have Kunle here. I know him so well, much more than he knows me. I've watched everything you've done, literally. And I think I've watched it 7, 10 times, each one. I just am amazed at the level of creativity and ingenuity that is found in him. And when we were going to host this, conference, one of our team leads reached out to him and shared what we were trying to do. And he was so excited to come. I mean, thank you for honoring us. Thank you for just huge sacrifices to be here. And, I'm going to be calling him up now. I hope that your ears are inclined to hear. He is a creative, top-notch creative. You're going to, hear his profile as he comes up. So let's welcome. Some of you know him as Frank Donga. Well, that's one of the, AKAs. But let's receive Kunle Idowu right now to the platform.
Kunle Idowu is a filmmaker, actor, digital content expert, creator of the Frank Dunga comedy series, and a mobile content maker. He rose to fame through The Interview and in Danny TV web series about an unassuming job seeker, for which he was nominated for Best Actor in a Comedy in Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Award in 2015. He has also gone on to feature in several movies like The Wedding Party and its sequel, The Wedding Party 2. Previously working as a journalist, but currently as a photographer and a filmmaker. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Kunle Idowu.
My mind they call to who do this video? When is it showing in cinema? See head. I just say panic not gonna make me drop microphone. It is where? Abuja. It's good to be here again. When we think of Abuja, we think of money, connection, well-fed people, designer outfits, everybody looking good and relaxed, no stress. Nobody's in a hurry to go anywhere. Traffic, is this on traffic? Think of power, every form of power. Let me behave. I want to say something that will cause wahala for me. Because this is Abuja. And therefore stand on all existing mandate, protocol. Protocol. I never spent 30 minutes, I beg go. If it's Lagos, then I know where to hide and dodge you, please. Stand on all existing protocols. Sir? I've stood on protocols, so I don't need to mention name. Is that what it means, sir? Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for this opportunity to come. It's my pleasure to be here. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for yourselves. Don't worry, I won't take time. I won't take time. Go straight to the point and wrap it up. Especially, for some of us that are traveling out. No, not some of us. Where I be, waiting. I get passport, talk less up. Some of us are traveling out. So. 'Cause, 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 Don't worry, I got you. I know some of you, your mind is already at the airport too, to other destinations. I didn't say it, Pastor said it, you know what? Now that I said it, it's all good, it's all good, it's all good. So in like 3 sentences, I'll be done. They said I should speak on focus on your focus, whatever that means, you know. Slide 1, focus on your focus. It is what it is. That's controls center, technical team. Slide 2. Now, how do we start? You know, content creation, creativity. How do we start? Very easy. You will not believe it. Just start. And next slide. You already know what to do. Thank you very much. Put your hands together for yourselves. How many people get hand? How many people they clap? You know balance. Sir, you said, how do we start? Start. What else do you want to know? How else do you want to start? Okay, you still want me to break it down? The technical team. Let's see if there's any other thing. We don't already talk now. What else? Any other thing? My editor don't sneak in ideas. Okay. Let's make it very brief. I think I have an hour or less in case there are questions. So, content creation, how do you get the ball rolling? How do you set things in motion? I've been doing this for as long as I can remember. Way back in school, I used to make comics because I was an illustrator. You make comics in secondary school. Before then, I doodled all over my school notes and textbooks. I'm not encouraging... We're all grown-ups. If you like, doodle on your passport, nice, Abby. So anyway, I used to doodle on my school notes. My parents would complain. My mother especially, what's all these things? My father kind of appreciated it, but like, buy a drawing book, you know. But then it started from there, made comics in school. And then that sharpened my interest. Of course, I loved cartoons when I was young, you know, Danger Mouse. Man, I begin to expose age now. No, not the old ones, the younger ones, they'll feel left out. We younger ones might feel left out. People like us. Sir, when did I do my 18th birthday? Habana. Roger Ramjet. Atomant. I won't point fingers, but some people are lost on one side of the hall, or some people in some other side of the hall, just opening seats. They can remember the good old days. Okay, fine, let's equalize everything. Mickey Mouse, Lion King. That was how I started, you know. I had interest in music too. Started with the Small Woods piano tutor, took piano lessons, went on from there, joined the church choir, played the lead guitar, the bass, and the keyboard, went on there to write songs, rapped a bit in school, joined an a cappella team, or the best a cappella team on campus then, was the music director all throughout my university days, then picked up animation, self-taught animator, 2D animation particularly, went on from there. Of course, after studying agricultural sciences for first degree, came back from NYSC and dived into animal genetics for master's degree. Came out from that and then applied, dabbled around, messed around on the internet for job opportunities. Like most of us will probably do after university or any kind of training, looking for opportunities. And I kind of did that for a while. And my dad said, if you want to do anything master's, you better do it now before you grow older than now because it might get tougher. So I listened to his advice and went for animal genetics and got master's degree in animal genetics. Just as I was running up the animal genetics course, dabbling around, don't forget the dabbling part. There's nothing wrong with dabbling. Dabble all you want to dabble. Dabbling is healthy. There's nothing wrong with it, you know. I know. If anyone focus, you know, we're talking about focus. And back in the day, you know, motivational speaking, you know, would help lead us into that path a lot, you know. Purpose. You have to align yourself with your purpose in life. That is good. It's all good. There's nothing wrong with purpose. But some of our purposes, some of us have purpose that our purpose in life is to dabble into everything. Come on, dabble to. You are a dabbler. Okay? It's better than being a gambler. But I did, you know. I was a dabbler, full-time dabbler. Dabbled into everything. I'm surprised I actually went to school because one time I wanted to be an architect because I could draw. I thought that was my path in life. My father encouraged me. My parents encouraged me. Hey, it's good, it's good. I'm sure my dad was probably thinking, he will soon change it. Watch now, count to 3. I think I'll be an artist. I cannot tell you. Because my comics were banging on campus. I was doing cartoons. Some of my friends were more in the still life illustration thing. I was more on the cartoon side of the scale. My head could comprehend, a lot of slapstick humor, maybe inspired by the numerous cartoons I used to watch. And then after that, I wanted to be a pilot. Yeah, it's like, man, I'm going to be a pilot. And father said, oh yeah, that's a good thing. Know your geography and know your physics. He knew maths was my enemy, so they don't get me. I struggle with maths a bit. Not surprised that I passed further maths more than maths. I'm like, what kind of human am I? I was passing further maths more than maths. I said, this is not my journey. Then I said, I'm going to be a wildlife photographer. Because I like photography. No thanks to National Geographic. Nat Geo Wild did a thing to me, to my brains. I said, this is my calling. Then I discovered I loved animals. I said, yes, this is still my calling. I'm going to study it in school, but let me go for the best if I'm going to study anything. I went for vet medicine. Of course, that didn't happen. Then I said agriculture looked like my thing. I went for agriculture. So I was a dabbler. And that continued after school. I dabbled into everything I could dabble into. Music, art, everything. Not knowing that it was just first stops on my journey to where I was actually going. Guess what? Am I there? No, I'm still dabbling. So in case you are still dabbling, calm down. We are together. We shall dabble till we dabble no more. Somebody tagged me on Twitter yesterday and said, with due respect, sir, what exactly do you do for a living? Ooh. I said, well, interesting question, sir. If you must know, I solve problems. And he said, oh, okay. I don't hide on that one. Learn big grammar, it can save you. Thank you, sir, for that nice commendation on the comedy sketches, numerous. Some of the sketches I've dabbled into. One of them was my interest in employment, job opportunities. Why? Because I noticed a lot of young people didn't get their dream jobs, not because they weren't good enough, not because they didn't get the right grades in school. Yeah, some of us didn't get, but whatever. But it was more because the equivalent of stage fright. Like I call somebody randomly now. I like bros that's looking at me, and I just call you to join me on stage and speak for like 60 seconds. Or maybe this sister. So we're already sweating at the possibility. It's easy to just sit there, some people. Everybody gets stage fright, though. Don't let the comfortable-looking gentleman and lady sitting down here. Hey, it's okay. Dabble into stage fright and dabble out of it. That's the thing. Anything you dabble into that's not good enough, always find a way to dabble out of it. Anyway, I digress. So, okay, let me skip all that. Juicy gist. I know you like gist, but let's do something you enjoy. That's why I went along that rambling route. I enjoyed a lot of things. I dabbled into them. So you want to start content creation? How exactly do you start? How do you focus on what you're doing? Do something you enjoy. You like to cook. You probably want to do content in the direction of cooking. You'll be shocked. You think it's easy for you. Oh, you think you can cook. Oh, wait, you think they can cook. Wait till you see somebody struggle to make pap. How many people cook here? You can cook in your dreams. You are a cookist. Like, you are good. Is there a cafeteria around here, sir? Like a kitchenette, sir? Like we can warm tea. Right? Hot water. Very good. I get why. How many people can make pap anywhere, anytime, anyhow? Some people not sure. They don't raise hand for cook. Their mind they call to raise hand for pap. If say, no be pap. Pap. Can't remember the last time you tried to make pap. The pap you. By the time you are done, you are not sure whether to drink the pap or to eat it. Last, you boil the pap, cook the pap, roast the pap. Anything but making the pap. So if that's your thing, look, content can be made about virtually anything. I can make a content about how people laugh. Recently, I saw a tweet. One platform gathered people that had the weirdest laughs, gathered them together. And people watched it like, They were cracking them up and like this unique laughter. And people are like, I'm like, You can't see people laugh. You would. Content can be about virtually anything, trust me. The information superhighway, now that we have the 5G and all the likes technologies, bam, in our face. I remember when I was in school, around 98, thereabout, phones were fantasies. Like, we only saw them in movies. There was nothing like video calling. You don't video call nothing, nobody. We be say back in the day, to speak to our cousins in America, they would bath on a Saturday, wear fine clothes, rub powder, comb our hair, then they will carry us to Nitel to go and queue to make phone call. Man, Gen Zs don't know what they're getting now. You better use it well, oh. Use it. You've heard all manner of stuff. Now use it well, oh. Just remember that was the day when people had to go and queue at Nitel to call their cousins or their parents abroad. Just imagine it. Just to say hello, good morning. You bath, wear cloth, and go to Nitel to queue up. And then, ground. You can't see the face, so now only the voice. If the voice no do you, go back home. But now, virtually on your phone, you can call anywhere in the world. Very soon. I don't know what Elon Musk is planning. You'll probably be able to call your friend when he goes to Mars or goes to the orbit. I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath on that. It's probably going to be possible very soon. So look for something you're naturally comfortable with. Why? Because the content creation journey can be pretty rough. It can be pretty rough. It can be demanding. You have to be prepared for it. It has to be something you naturally enjoy. Because content itself is not an end, it's a means to an end. It's part of communication. You're communicating with people. And that's why, because, I discovered that people most times had interview frights, the equivalent of stage fright that I was explaining the other time. First class 2-1, good grades 2-2, even third class is not mean. Once you get that invitation to come to an interview, problem don't start. Baba go borrow every G maths textbook that time. Cram everything, revise his old school notes, only to get a job interview, and head is empty. As empty as anything. Sweating profusely. With maximum AC. Sweating. I've been there. We've all been there at a point in time. Oh, okay, you feel like say because you aced your job interview. Okay, remember that time you went for American visa interview? I don't know. That one, I die. That's what you want humbles a lot of people. You get there, and no matter where you are, that thing it's an equalizer. I've seen all sorts of people at the American embassy. Everybody used to sweat. Like, the bigger the suit, the more the sweat. Oh boy. I remember one of those last times I went for American visa interview. I mean, in real life, not on screen. I not even dress well. So that I won't be too disappointed. So I can blame something for the refuser. Man, in this generation, we have a lot to learn to catch up on mental health management. Now, me manage my mental health myself. I just dress anyhow. In case they don't give me, I say, now my dressing. Oh, boy. I go anyhow. The moment I heard, so you're a student? They say, yes, sir. Do you have an proof that you registered for the next semester in school? I said, no, you don't get it. I just finished final year paper. I'm waiting for NYC. The guy said, and what? I said, NYC is something we do like for 1 year when we finish school. Room about them. I will never forget that man. Caucasian, white, chubby, bearded. He just looked up at me and said, so you're currently an unemployed graduate? As I heard that one, I just saw my visa flying in the sky. RIP. I looked the visa, it go past me. My visa flashed before my eyes. I said, Baba, hold up. I just have one request. He said, no. I said, I beg you, let me go and apply. I'll come back. He said, no, sir. I just said, damn. I reached out, I said, if you see I wear a suit, forgive me. So yes, job interviews. I've seen the people lose it at job interviews, crumble up, well prepared. So I felt, you know what? People don't make the best impression. And I was so concerned about it because then I had gotten a job as a broadcast journalist in Lagos. Yeah, even though I studied agricultural sciences, but don't forget, that's why I said that long story was not for gist sake. I started so my background in media had been prepared by God himself without me really necessarily knowing it. So you're on a journey. Whatever you're going through right now, there are pieces in the big puzzle of your life. Don't throw them away, They're all going to matter. You may not know how or know when, but trust me, there's somebody up there. As long as you're connected, be on his Wi-Fi. Nobody just the room about anyhow. Church, you escape. Night vigil, you escape. Evangelism, you escape. Morning devotion, you escape. Escape. Calm down. Where are you escaping to? Yeah, connect to the Wi-Fi, if you know what I'm saying, sir. Connect the Wi-Fi. Download when you need to download on time. Yeah. And I mean download, I'm serious about the resources. Ultimately, every masterpiece idea that's going to revolutionize their life is going to come from the Father of Light himself. Trust me. You see, the more I went into genetics, the more I realized, nah, I'm more free, man. Don't you tell me, say this TGCA in the DNA, in the helical structure of the genomic theory and recombinant DNA. Somebody create this thing, man. Man. One day I looked at my professor in class. Look, just one alphabet missing on the DNA helix structure, that helical structure. One just, if it is guanine, amino, all the amino acids, just TCGGAAA. If it's TCGGGA, that person's in trouble. Leg figure out of the ear. If you didn't see with your nose, anything can happen. Anything is allowed. They call it congenital abnormality. See, even the grammar big. So the chance that you are alive right now and you're the way you are, just be grateful. Be grateful. Be grateful. You don't know what's going on. You pass through all that journey from fertilization to sitting down here, thinking I am. No, not beans. I appreciate God. So the more I studied, I said, man. Anyway, back to the matter. So you need to download. Inspiration ideas, I believe, come from God. How do you get it? In various ways. Naturally, you can be gifted it from birth. It happens like that to some people. They don't know how. And that's why there's a difference between gifts, talents, and skills. That's a topic for another seminar. Let's not go there. So some people are gifted from birth. If you are, great. You can work on certain things. If you don't have the gift, if you don't have the talent, rather, you might develop the skill. Sometimes you have the gift, you don't know it, so you never use and never benefit from it. Right? Gifts can be anything from singing to art to dancing. How can dancing be something where we see for TikTok? Try them now. No, it's not because you are old in your 50s, 40s, or late 30s that your back is stiff. Even if at 12, some people cannot best it. They can't move leg. To praise God in church, thank God for 2x2. Gah, 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 gah. Not everybody feel komole. Not be everybody. That's why you can always be safe. Whether your clap is on beat or off beat, nobody cares. God bless the choir. Anytime, they cover us. So what am I saying? So make what you can create content around just about anything. You can write, you can sing, you might be dancing, you may be teaching. Because essentially, don't forget what content creation is. It's just a means to an end. It's you communicating with an audience. Who your audience will be now, I don't know. My time, because I just realized if I wrote a book about 10 steps to getting your dream job, if full bookshop now, 20 ways to secure your goal, they don't do them. Nobody go read my own. Why be? I was fresh from school, working in broadcast journalism. Of course, as a broadcast journalist, I saw a lot. So we did some reports on unemployment. Then we realized a lot of HR people were talking about the unemployability of Nigeria. You're saying, too tight. Which one be that? Unemployability. It speaks to the fact that some people are just not too suitable. They're not attractive for employers to pick up and pay good money. And that's where value has to come in. So now it's not essentially that they are not useful in an organization. It's just because they don't make a good presentation of themselves at job interviews. The same way I didn't present myself well at American Embassy visa application interview that time. If you've ever gotten a visa to any Western country, leading country in the world, you realize the more qualified you are for that visa, the less interested you are. Let me repeat that. See, the people they give visa are people that if they don't go, you cannot pin them. In fact, let me tell you, actually people that going to that place is a disturbance for them. Should I go deeper? Okay. Person they make like 1.5 million naira a month, let's just say. 1.5. He's been working for about 15 years. Has assets. Account is very arrogant. You know. He's gone for like 18 conferences around the world. He has just 2 weeks vacation. And he's out of the 2 weeks vacation. He's the top manager, top of his career, you know. He's been practicing for like 17 years, you know, 15 real employment in top organizations. And he wants to come to your country for a 5 days vacation. No, if you are visa, we're not attached to him. No, if you be visa yourself. No, so, I digress. You see, say the thing they pay me. That's why I do skits around interview. That's why I started from. If they pay me. If they pay me, go. You know, all these things. I say, I can't lie you, man. That's what I say. Okay, what do you do for a living? I'm a professional, man. I'm a professional. I say, what do you mean by a professional? Like, anything you ask us to do now, we do it. That's all. I thought it was a joke until somebody tweeted at me a few years back and said, Baba, please help your boy. I need it. Anything, please, Baba, help me. I said, okay, fine, no problem. What can you do? It came to my DM, Baba, we can do anything for you, sir. That sounds like an assassin or an armed robber. Which one is we can do anything? I said, so, but what can you do? What skill set do you have? He said, anything, sir. We can make anything happen. Ogbeni, unfollow me now. I said, don't threaten me with your ability. Which one is you can do everything? Don't do it. I was asking for your skill set. He never responded after that. I'm like, what? You can't. What can you do? You need help. You need a job. What can you do? I can draw. Fine. Okay. Okay. Can you use software to draw like Adobe Illustrator? Can you do graphics design? I can sew. Beautiful. Can you make dresses, tops? Okay, why? We can look for something what we can do together or commission you to do. Nah. Look, forget skill. Shebi, you dey bath in every morning. You know how to clean your body. Can you clean the floor? Sir, I can clean, I can wash. Or I can cook. Shikina. He said, we can do everything. Aya killer. Which one is going to do everything? No. Anyways, so that's it. Make a plan, make a plan, make a plan. I can't emphasize this place. People don't make plans. Countries don't, and I'm not calling name now. Countries don't make plans. We just wake up in the morning, take power, like empower yourself. That's what I mean. Then when you empower yourself, let's just go to the next part. No, slow down. They say, but it's just plan. Just for God's sake, just plan. Because lives are dependent on it. Just plan for God's sake. Sir, I'm talking to you, sir. Plan. Have a plan. Who do you want to work with? Plan. Is that much to ask for? Is that too much? How do you want to make it happen? Plan it. Yeah, no. Oh, yeah. If you want to make it like a cabinet, wardrobe, kitchen, cupboard, make it and make it good. And know where you're going to make it, who's going to supply the wood, who's going to do the polishing, where you're going to display it, where wind will blow it, where it will dry where. No. Don't just ghost, don't just, you understand? Like maybe customer care, things like that. Relate with your customer on a regular basis. Sorry, there's a delay. This is what we are doing. They're bringing it to a hook for Top Milan Bridge. There's traffic. We are working on it. Then if there's problems, send back, dispatch bike. Let them go and meet it. And the one they can carry, they carry from traffic. So at least your customer will know you're doing something. You know, so like I was saying, sorry, let me move away from that side. You understand? I'm still a young man, and that's 16. I'm still trying to make it in life. So know who you compare yourself with. Some people have good backing. Let me stay on this side with you, my brother, and my sisters. So anyway, my time is running out. I have like 4 minutes left. So you need whatever resources you need. Time, money, people. Who do you need? Sometimes you don't need a crowd. You need just one person. Start. There's so many ideas in my head I thought so big. I never started. And to go scale it down. Call one person. Can we just do this? Proof of concept. Can we shoot this just for a trial? Start it. Just get it out. Because nobody's going to fund anything they can't see any visual representation of. And that's I'm happy you are mentioning visual storytelling and visual. Was that what you said? Yeah, imagery. Kelechi Amadiobi once said, fantastic photographer, Nigerian photographer. He said, Nigeria doesn't have an image problem. We have an imagery problem. Google Nigeria. Look at the pictures that will come out. Google Abuja. Flat, uninteresting pictures. For the most, now we're just trying small. Yes, you see that city gate. Even me, I recorded it when I was coming. I don't post them for Instagram. Abuja, what's up? That's all. Or go to some other, California, Hollywood. That Hollywood logo alone, anywhere you see it, you caught respect. I was there once. Saw the, say, oh, more, now, wow. And hardly any place from Beverly Hills down all the way to Universal Studios. Fantastic scenery. Why Nigerian musicians go to shoot music video for South Africa? Have you been to South Africa or more? They plan that city die. They shoot American movies in in South Africa, in Cape Town. There's a bridge that leads to nowhere in Cape Town. They started constructing bridge. They didn't plan. The bridge could not be finished, so it stopped midway. So if you drive at night, you're falling. So what did they do? They closed the bridge down. Nobody can use it. And somebody said, you're wasting this long stretch of bridge that leads to nowhere. Let's be shooting films there. So when they want to shoot car chases on bridges, they use South Africa. My friend went there the last time on honeymoon with his wife. He said, oh, boy, you see what's in the city? He said, I just reached South Africa. I see Cape Town now. A whole street, NYPD cars. I was like, what's going on? Baby, did you miss the plane and land in New York? I had to check again. Sorry, where is this? They said, you're in South Africa, Cape Town. They said, apparently they are shooting NYPD scene, a scene in NYPD movie. They said, well, NYPD and police cars. Why? The buildings there look almost identical to some areas in New York. You know how much they're generating? I once shot a commercial in South Africa. Forget it. It's a whole industry. A whole industry. Well, let's not talk about that one. I don't want to cry. My tissue paper is not here. Plan, no, for God's sake. Anybody here can be leader tomorrow. Shall plan. I won't say more than that. 2 minutes to go. Planning is important. What do I need? When do I start? When do I stop? How much do I do? How much time do I need for this? That's just plan. Make a plan. So what happened? I covered. Any question? Any part? Are we allowed to ask questions now or later or something? Yes, ma'am. Real quick. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I had to take the question because it was more practical than, just me talking. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Please, I'd like to know how you're just coming to the industry then. You're able to get
Bless you.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
You're able to get a large platform like in Daniel TV. That was how a lot of us knew you.
Yeah.
So how can a young creative just trying to get into the industry get brands? I don't understand my question.
Yeah, I do. I know where you're going with your question.
Yeah. How were you able to get that kind of connection?
That's why I started with the first point. Do what you like. Don't start off looking for brands. Nah. All these kids have done. No, I have content I'm creating in agriculture now. That's why I told you, because I want things to connect later. Some things I said today may not make sense to you. Later when you hear about me, you're not like, no wonder. I'm shooting some agricultural content right now. I'm going all over Nigeria discussing with farmers and agripreneurs. Fantastic, beautiful drone shots, fast-moving cars. I'm shooting like Top Gear. You know that Top Gear car review thing? Like that kind of quality, but agriculture. Stuck to the skin or the hide of an animal, usually large ruminants, horses, cattle. They put the logo on them. So there has to be something to brand. So I'll say keep your eyes less on, when you get to that bridge, you cross it. Just create a fantastic content that you can be proud of. Any other question? Yes, sir. Yeah. Oh, my time is red. I don't know what that...
Okay, so this morning, myself and a couple of brothers were having a review of the topics we discussed yesterday and all of that. Then a statement came up. How can we achieve all of this with age? So there's a tendency for people to feel that, hey, I'm too old to do this. I feel I don't have enough time for all of this. So how do you even get beyond that mental barrier and just do whatever it is you have to do?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm happy that question came up because, again, you see, because this is the vehicle that we were talking about. Two of the most important technological items in content creation, devices and the internet, are heavily dominated by a certain age group. They call them Gen Zs, or millennials, in some cases. So usually 30 downward. So if you are not within that age bracket, you might feel disadvantaged or it's too late or I spend too much time. Okay, there's this man on Instagram I used to follow. I followed him. He's not my age mate. Baba Gidi, real Agbalagba, Agbalagbi. Why was I following him? That guy is a fashion genius. He combines suits and shirts and shoes the most amazing way. Fedoras, derbies, scarves, pocket squares, color combination is out of this world. Old man, he doesn't talk. And he has this great beard. My God, he looks fantastic at his age. Can a 15-year-old do that? No matter how you dress as a 20-year-old, I will still think you are dressing 20-year-old. Even if you dress like that man, you not look, but that man, hi, good hairline, unlike some of us. We have embraced our destiny, sir. You can't harass us. You know, solid beard, looking dapper, white beard. Imagine somebody in his late 60s or early 70s, full gray beard, sunshade, tight suit, nice tight pants, good loafers. I said, kilo day, slow down, grandpa. Grandpa no grill. Then he started making videos. Cufflinks, like, kilo day, too much sauce. That's his content. He's always liked fashion. In his time, there was no internet. He has missed this in life. No, he didn't miss it. He can still dive in. Another beautiful thing, even if you're in your 50s, imagine a 50-year-old. See, if I were to work with someone like that, like someone like you now, just fit you up. Let's say you like food, you love to cook, or you're a chef and you feel I'm too old. Yeah, I'm just saying. I cannot spoil your market. I'm just saying. You know, I'll just probably do you up, maybe gray your beard a little bit more, give you some attitude, you know. Then some nice fitting, not oversized that Buba is going this way, trouser is going the other way. You know, look nice, you know. Put some class, you know, age like fine wine class, and, you know, cook. People will listen to you. Why? This man looks like he's been around for long enough to know what he's talking about. That's why a lot of the faces on TV before now used to be very elderly guys, because there's a kind of credibility that comes with whatever they say. This guy cannot be lying to us on TV. You understand? There's certain things that at age you can call me an advantage. It's easier to listen to someone who you think is much older than you, take a master class because you feel they know what they're talking about. That's why a lot of people, even young motivational speakers, they're not that old. One small gray hair go like this, they nurture it. Because that gray hair, now they are selling points. The purpose of a man trying to achieve his aims, and you see gray hair. Person like me now, we don't even get it, I just come. The purpose of a man. I'm going to talk your team, make this Baba talk better. There's the way you even look. Or make these bros now, we get dreadlock. I've been get dreadlock before, but God said no. Mercy said no. Dreadlock now, with this is African. I said, as an artist in New York, I say, hey, these are the people we are talking about. I have a friend of mine, Laulu, that guy that did the body arts for Beyonce. We used to be in Lagos together, hustling. Laulu went to New York 1 year. Beyonce called him, Starbucks called him, Belvedere perfume called him. And no, it's a Belvedere perfume. No, that's, I can't remember what the brand is now. Anyway, what am I trying to say? Lalu's dread now, if you see him. I say, nah, you got to look like artist. He had good hairline before, so he grew his hair into locks. So when he's wearing a suit with African art prints, imagine like that. Black guy, African art print with dreadlock that he molded. Like, nah, marketing. He's probably going to look, okay, yeah, artist. You know, not artist, artist. You get as age and look matter and all those things. And let's leave that one for another. Any other question before I take my seat? You guys have been amazing. Put your hands together for yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Chidera Peters, a YouTube content creator currently based in the UK, and I'm going to be talking about my journey and experience creating education content and also lifestyle content on YouTube. In addition to this, I'll be sharing some tips on how to go about content creation on YouTube. So a little about me. On YouTube, my channel is literally my name, Chidera Peters, and I was very intentional about that because I want to build a brand around my name. And currently, at the time of shooting this video, I have over 31,000 subscribers and my videos have been watched over 1 million times. Saying that out loud actually sounds surreal, but it's been a journey of years. It has taken me years to get to this point, and I just want to share behind the scenes and why I actually decided to start YouTube. So my YouTube journey started back in 2019. That was when I decided to become serious about YouTube, and what led to this was my experience as an international student in the UK. So a bit of a backstory. I went to the UK in 2019 on a scholarship to do my master's. When I got into the UK, I was a first generation immigrant. Basically, what it means is no member of my family had ever been to the UK, and I was the first to go there. And as a result, I had a lot of challenges trying to figure out how the system works here and how to make most of the opportunities that I had. And because I did not have information, I missed out on amazing opportunities that could have helped my life and made my time as a student easier. One of such information that I did not have access to was the knowledge of hardship funds. So when I got into the UK, before my sponsors, which was the PTDF, which is I was sponsored by the Nigerian government, the Petroleum Technology Development Fund Scholarship, before they would pay me my living stipends, there was a delay. And as such, I was in the UK and I did not have any single money on me, and I was really going through some intense financial crisis. And I did not know that as part of my school fees, there was something known as hardship allowance that was paid along with my school fees. And here I was struggling, looking for money, literally going from church to church, looking for where I was going to find food and eat, and also reaching out to people to borrow me money, until I spoke to a friend, and he's like, oh, go to the university's financial office and tell them your financial situation, tell them you want to apply for the hardship fund. And I was like, are you being serious? They'll give me free money. He's like, yes, that it's in my school fees. And that's how I went about the whole thing, did the whole application, and I actually got hardship funds up to an amount of, I think, about £500. And I was like, are you kidding me? I've been suffering and this service is available. Just because I did not know, I would have actually missed out on this. And then it got me thinking, if I was going through the same challenge of not having access to the right information, then there are thousands of other international students like me in the UK, particularly international students from Africa, international students from Nigeria, that are going through the same challenges. And then going forward, when I started my academics, when classes kicked off properly, I realized that the educational system in Nigeria and in the UK was vastly different. And all along I've been told that if you can school in Nigeria, when you get to the UK, is nothing. Their system is nothing. You will breeze through it. So I was shocked when I realized it is actually hard. Academics is actually hard in the UK. I had to learn how to do referencing properly. I had to learn how to write critically. All of these things that I did not necessarily do during my time as a student. During my time as a student in Nigeria, the only time I actually did like proper academic writing during my time as a student in Nigeria was when I did my research work, and even that, it was to a certain extent. So when I realized that I was actually struggling with this, and I was looking for ways to improve myself, I was attending like workshops organized by my school, I was attending classes, I realized that this challenge I'm having is not peculiar to me. There are thousands of students from Nigeria who are schooling in the UK that are having the same issue, and that was why I decided to start my channel. So the goal of my channel was basically to help one student get it right. So what I started doing was just sharing my experiences. When I go through things, I share it on YouTube. I'm like, oh, this is how to write a first class essay, because I have written essays that got me first class, right? I share on how to avoid plagiarism because I have now learned how to avoid plagiarism. I share on things to avoid as a student because I realized there were mistakes that I made that you don't need to replicate as a student. And so that was how the channel started. I started in 2019 and I've been on this journey for how many years now? 2019, 2020, okay, 4 years, about 4 years, and the journey so far has been interesting. So I think that provides a bit of context to my choice of content, why I decided to go the educational route. That was because I was basically sharing from my experience. And at the end of the day, with content creation, you want to share something that you're actually passionate about or things that you're genuinely interested in. Next thing I want to focus on is how I built my following. So how I've gone from 0 to 31,000 subscribers. Also, how I was able to build a community off of my YouTube channel. So I have a platform that supports international students in the UK known as the CP community. So basically my name, the Chidera Peters community. And I was able to build this community off my YouTube channel. Presently, we have over 20,000 student members. And how I was able to do this is what I'm going to share now. So the very first thing is to connect with people. So I was very intentional about connecting with people right from the early stages of my YouTube channel. So whenever someone left a comment on my YouTube channel, I always responded. And I think this was something that made people feel very close to me because I knew that I wanted to grow this channel, and I know that everyone who comments actually took the time out to type, and the least I could do was reply. So I think for the first year of doing YouTube, every single comment I will respond to it. To the most of my ability, I would respond. If someone says, oh, thank you for this video, I found it really helpful, I'm like, oh, I use the person's name, I personalize my communication. I don't just say say thank you. I'm like, hi Jamila, thank you so much for watching the video today. I'm glad you found it helpful. So I was very intentional about making that personalized connections in the comment section of my video. Another thing that I did was to create valuable downloadable content, and this was all thanks to my knowledge of digital marketing and creating sales funnel. I already had the skill and I just found the way to apply it to grow my channel. So I created a downloadable resource which actually led to the growth of this community, which was a packing checklist. So basically listing out the items that you can pack for your trip to the UK as an international student. And this resource has gotten over 10,000 downloads. It was free and I just created that, linked it in the description box, and people kept downloading it. And then from there I realized, oh, I have so many email addresses, I could actually start doing a newsletter. And then I started doing a newsletter, sharing my experience as a student. And it was actually my readers, my audience, they were like, oh Chidera, we need a platform where we can connect, where we can meet other students, you know, where we can integrate. And then they gave me the suggestion to start a Telegram group. I did that, and then I put the link in the newsletters. People joined, and currently in the Telegram groups we are over 14,000 students in the separate Telegram groups, and it's just gone off from there. And then in the Telegram group, the community suggested that, oh, we create an Instagram page, you know, just so we can reach more people. They came up with the name. So the name for this community, the CP community, I did not come up with it. My audience actually did, and that's because I took them along the journey. Right from when I started, I personalized my communication. I created avenues for them to interact with me. As a small scale YouTuber, that was the leverage that I had. Big time YouTubers with like over, let's say, 1 million subscribers cannot reply every single comment, and they also may not have that personalized relationship with their audience, and that's because their audience is really, really large. But when you're starting small, you want to try and create that personalized connection with your audience. Even if it's on Instagram, you create content. When someone comments on your video or on your post, take time out to reply them, make them feel heard and seen. People generally love it when others take an interest in them. So pick an interest in your audience and it will grow from there. So the impact of my channel so far has been amazing. I think every other day I get an email from one student or another, or somebody in Tanzania, or somebody in Kenya, or even somebody in Israel, somebody in India, telling me, oh, hi Chidera, thank you so much for your content, it's been really helpful. I get these emails on a daily basis, and each time I get these emails, I just realize how impactful my work has been, or how impactful my channel has been. There was even a time when I was almost done with my studies, when I was looking for jobs. There was this job that was posted on LinkedIn, and my community went to that post and they were just leaving comments. They were like tagging me. They were mentioning me in the comments, telling the employer that this is the person to hire. They were like, Chidera Peters, hire Chidera Peters. She's good at this. That post got over 100 comments from my community members, literally just recommending me for a job. I'm putting their foot down, saying this girl is the girl for the job. So the impact has been it's massive. I don't think I can quantify it in numbers. And for me, just saying that I'm helping one person get it right gives me the fulfillment that I need as a content creator. Not just the impact. My YouTube channel has also opened up other amazing opportunities for me. One of such opportunities is this speaking opportunity, the opportunity to talk to you about my experience. This stems off my YouTube channel. So I have spoken at different stages around the world where I share on different topics, and so basically I get paid for speaking gigs, public speaking. My YouTube channel has also opened me up to consulting. So sometimes I consult for different startups, or in email marketing, on sales funnels, different areas of digital marketing. I get consulted for that. Another thing that YouTube has opened me up to is content creation. So sometimes brands reach out to me to create content that they can use on their platforms, and then I get paid for that. Another one, which is actually, I think, the most common one, is sponsorships. So brands pay me to talk about their products or their services on my YouTube video, or in my newsletter. I've actually monetized the newsletter as well, or on my Instagram pages, and I get paid for that as well. So the opportunities has been amazing. And more recently is the current job that I do in the UK. It was actually based off of my experience from YouTube. So the fact that I was able to build a community of my YouTube channel was the experience that qualified me for the job that I have now. So the job that I have now, it wasn't posted anywhere. I did not have to submit a CV. It was more like my boss now, who was the employer then, my boss reached out to me and he's like, oh, we think you can do this job based on this, this, and this. this, and then they gave me the job. So there's so many things YouTube has opened me up to, and I'm so grateful to have a platform where I can share, connect, and even grow as a person, both professionally and every other way. Just to wrap up, I'm going to be sharing a few tips to help you get started with content creation on YouTube. Now, the very first tip is find something you can talk about for 3 minutes or 7 minutes and film it. A lot of times when people want to get started on YouTube, there's this, oh, what do I talk about? Oh, what do I do? What do I say? Just find something you're interested in. What are you interested in? What can you talk about comfortably for 3 or 7 minutes and enjoy it? That's where you want to start. Okay, so find that thing that you're comfortable talking about, that you like sharing about, the things you like to do. Like, what are those things? Look at your area of interest and then start creating content on those things. The second tip that I have is to start with what you have. A lot of times people feel like, oh, I have to get a camera, I have to get a proper mic like the one I have on, I have to get a proper mic, I have to get lighting, I have to get a whole setup. It doesn't have to be that way. You can literally start with what you have. So I started YouTube in 2019 with my phone, and I'm still using that phone till now. Presently, this video you're watching is shot on my iPhone. Okay, so you can start with what you have. Even before I started using an iPhone, I shot videos on a techno phone. All I had to do was just ensure I got the right apps and ensure that my settings were right. So you don't need to wait until you get all the fancy gears. Literally, if your phone is a smartphone that comes with a good or a decent camera, you can start with that. And then regarding audio, you don't have to spend so much to get this kind of like wireless mic that I have. You can get a lapel mic. You can get some on Jumia for as low as 2,500 naira, and you can start with that. You don't have to wait to have the whole setup. It was only until this year that I actually invested in lighting for my video. Other than that, I had been shooting videos with natural lighting, so I stay in front of a window or a door or like where it's bright in my room and shoot there. It was this year that I invested in light. So you don't need to do all the higgy haga. Just start with what you have. Okay, the next tip that I have is you don't need to know your niche to start. A lot of times we get so focused on, oh, what's my niche? But what I have learned from my experience on YouTube is that your niche is super fluid. So your niche can change. As you grow and evolve, your niche can change. So you don't have to feel like, oh, if you start doing beauty content today, that's the only thing you can do on YouTube. No, you can decide to pivot at some point. So don't stress so much about niching at this point. And that's the leverage that you have. Because you're just starting out, you can actually do anything. So you can try different types of content and then see the one that resonates with your audience and the one that you actually enjoy doing, and then find a common ground on that and choose that content. The next tip that I have, or the next common excuse that I hear from people is, oh, I don't have ideas. I don't have ideas on what to shoot. I don't have ideas. The truth is, there are no ideas under the sun that are original. So everything you think of, it has been thought of somewhere. Everything you want to do is most likely have been done somewhere in this world, somewhere maybe in a different continent, in a different country. So ideas are not original. But what's original is your authenticity and your personality in creating that content. So instead of looking for ideas, new ideas, you can actually do what a friend of mine calls stealing like an artist, which is basically replicating what has been done by different content creators, but spinning it in your own way. So maybe the way you talk about it will be different. You use your personality, you make it authentic to you, you use your own tone, your own voice to talk about it, because truly there are no original ideas. If you put a topic right now in YouTube, you will see more than 10,000 videos on that same topic. So who is the original owner of that idea? I don't know, but maybe you can let me know. So just to wrap up, I'm going to talk about what it takes to succeed on YouTube. A lot of times I get people ask me, oh, how can I succeed on YouTube? The truth is, it is hard work. So the very first tip to succeeding on YouTube is consistency. If you want to grow on YouTube, you have to be in it for the long run. You have to choose to show up even when you don't feel like it. You need to have a content schedule. You need to stick to it. And the reason is because the YouTube algorithm favors consistent creators, because YouTube is in this for business, right? You know, the more advertisers YouTube gets, the more money YouTube earns as well. So they would favor people who take YouTube as their job and not just people that are doing it, you know, as a one-time thing. So the more consistent you are, the more YouTube will show your videos to people. The more the YouTube platform will suggest your videos to different viewers. So you need to be consistent at it. The second tip to succeeding at YouTube is faith and patience, sprinkled with a lot of hard work. YouTube is work. Shooting video is work. Editing video is work. Setting up. I had to set up lights here. I had to dress up. I had to put my mic on. I had to get my camera stand. Everything. It's a lot of work. So you need to know it is hard work, but you need to be able to be patient in the process. It's a process, okay? So you need to be patient. You need to enjoy the journey from starting to getting to where you want to be on YouTube or growing your platform. And another thing I want to say here is luck. Okay, a lot of times people don't want to acknowledge the role of luck in YouTube, but luck plays a huge role. There are YouTubers who start their YouTube today and then within 3 months they're already at 100,000 subscribers. Some people experience massive growth like that, but luck is something you can't control. So it's better you focus on the things you can control, which is what? Putting out consistent content, putting in the effort to edit properly or learning to edit properly, ensuring that your video has good audio. And like, you need to focus on the things you can control more. And if luck plays a role for you, then that's great. But then if it doesn't, you need to work on your consistency. So these are my top 3 tips. I hope this helps. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking here. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure sharing my experience here, and I hope that it's been of help to you. You can connect with me on Instagram at the Chidera Peters or YouTube Chidera Peters. Thank you.
To be honest, my first exposure to film was what you saw, the actors looking gorgeous and acting. I said, yes, that's it. I want to be an actress. I don't know how. I was just saying it because, to be honest, all the path I was walking on was in architecture. And we came from a family where you dare not say, you're studying art. What? It has to be science or something. But I'm just so grateful that now in this generation, there's so much opportunity out there. Anything you want to learn is out there on YouTube. As our guy has said, I even said he has finished work. He has said everything. Even when he says start, you just start. People say, oh, Auntie Kemi, I want to write. Write now. Who is stopping you? Teach me. Go. I say if you have downloaded everything on YouTube first, there are scripts on YouTube. There are movies that are giving you basically the answer to a story. That is how the story progression is. If you have observed all that, and you haven't, and when I say even write, even a short story, 5 pages, doesn't have to be. A feature film is like 100, 150 pages. Nowadays, they're even going 2 hours. I'm like, my God, what's going on? But even 4 minutes, 5 minutes, a story, you can write it and communicate, and people will respond, and you can touch people emotionally. Do you know that even in America, they give Oscar awards to 5-minute films? 5-minute films. So they look at story and content as something that they don't joke with. So don't despise the day of small beginnings. I'll say just go ahead and write. When I was asked to come here, I was like, I asked Pastor Shola, I said, what am I going to talk about? Am I going to talk about writing? This is how you write a story and everything. And I had a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if they have it. Okay, yeah. Just at least the art of storytelling. As you can see, you have a picture of people gathered around the fire. Because the first type of storytelling we had and we were exposed to, especially in our culture, was the one you see with your mouth. Storytelling around the fire, Tales by Moonlight. I don't know if anybody remember those things. You know, one time even at home, they took light, NEPA. And we didn't have light for 4 days. My mother gathered all us kids and started telling us stories. And for 4 days, we didn't have the television, just stories. And I remember there was just something wonderful about it. The communal experience, gathering around. By the time they brought back light, it felt like we lost something because we're now back to the TV. We all went back to the TV, but there's just something about storytelling, especially the oral tradition. Now, there's a place in the Bible that said that I'll stand upon my watchtower and see what he will say. Why am I seeing what he's saying? There's something in saying. Saying produces pictures in your head. If I say London, some of you have never been to London, but you've already seen big Red Bus, Buckingham Palace, all those images, yet you've never been because somebody said and you saw it. So that in a way, that's what filmmaking and a story is. It should be so visually stimulating that they're saying, but he's also saying. Though nowadays, because everything is, we have video, we have movies, everything is now visual. It's not always oral now. So I just wanted to just high point that. Can we go to the next slide, please? Everyone has a story. Everyone, even your great, if there are stories that have been passed down from generation to generation, that's a story. You have to treasure the stories we have, because if we're not careful, foreigners will come, take your story, repackage it, and sell it back to you. They will do it because they're running out of stories. This Brazilian project is tied to the mythology of African culture, which is basically our stories that was imported by the slaves that was taken over there. They're finding value in it. They're finding value in it. So don't take your stories for granted. Even that story about there's one culture and this and that. There's weight in those stories. And everybody has a story. Now, it can be a modern story. It could be an old story. There's a saying that when an old person dies, a library dies with them. Things we thought we should have known, we have forgotten. Like an old man that was my neighbor that told me that in our tradition, it's not 7 days a week, it's 4 days a week. Can you imagine? To us, because we've been so, the colonized, 7 days is 7 days. We didn't know that our own tradition was 4 days. I think it was 4 days or 5 days. So all these are valuable things. Imagine having a story in which somebody's clock is based on that 4-day structure, and somebody is on the 7-day structure. And yet people don't understand until they realize the clue. He's working on this time, not that time. You see, so those are precious seeds you have. Go back. I know that some people are like, no, we've left the past behind. But sometimes you have to look to the past to know where you're going. So that's why I say everybody has a story. But then also do not discount the story that you're currently in your life or people around you. It may not look like it now. Sometimes you even need perspective in a story, because when you have an experience, you have to walk right through it before you see, okay, there's a story in that, there's a lesson in that. Basically, our life is a story. We're either in the beginning, we're either in the middle, or hopefully we're not rounding up. The good thing about story is the middle part is the longest part before the end. Okay. Can we change the slide again, please? I don't know. Sorry. Where does your story take place? Sorry, this one is very, how do you say it? This is when I become an academic. And I'm saying, okay, how do you find your story? Where does your story take place? Write what you know. Is it what happens at home? Is it in my village? Is it in Lagos? Is it in another part of the world? If you've never been to America, can you write more American than an American? Can an American write as a Nigerian? I've read texts where I could see an American writer did research and wrote about Nigeria, like a character that's Nigerian, but I could tell he was still not Nigerian, because they are just those little things, those little inflections that are us, that are unique to us, that they cannot replicate. We, to an extent, because we've downloaded so much American culture, we can, some of us can, push it a bit, but still, America is still not just what you see on screen, because they have hoods, they have their own culture. The black culture, the white culture, everything. Even the states have their own culture. And they have 51 states. So which one are you writing for? Write what you know, that's your power. Write your culture, that's your power. Write being Nigerian, that is your power, because that no other person can replicate. Right now, I don't know who watches K-drama. Does anyone? Okay, don't be ashamed. It's okay, K-drama. If you K-drama are Korean soaps or Korean films, and they have selling their culture. They sell their food. They sell their room. Even somebody said that's not real Korea. That's not how they really are. But they are selling it. This image of perfection. This image of, oh, we're very liberal. Apparently they are not. Oh, we're the greatest romantic people. Apparently they are not. They're actually very misogynistic people. But they are selling this image. What image is Nigeria selling? What image are we selling? Now, I'm not saying you have to say, okay, I have to be very social conscious in my storytelling. No, you don't have to. Just be creative. I think this whole, wasn't here from the beginning, but I think you already know. Be creative. What comes into your mind? It's a gift. That's the thing with creativity. It's a gift. It is there. It's for you to dig it up, refine it, and put it out there. And refining is a process. That's one thing that also we should learn, because when I left university, I still had to go through process of learning how to write. Yes, I had the gift, but it had to be refined. And some people take it for granted that, oh, I don't want a regular job. I want to be creative because it looks like fun. A lot of Lagos people that are in the creative world, okay, not a lot of them, but there are some pretenders. They grow dreadlocks. No offense to anybody who has dreadlocks. They strut around. They say all the right words, because they think we're creative. We're creative. We wear jeans and, we smoke. And yeah, is that what being creative is? Not necessarily. No. So, can we go to the next one? Hero versus villain. Okay, this is also academic. Maybe this for tomorrow's session. But basically, this is just filtering down what a story is. A basic story, you have a hero. He has a problem or a conflict. He has a villain. And he has to overcome that villain to succeed. You can say, but it's already sounding like superhero. If a story could be all about how somebody wanted to go to the market, that's his desire. Then it started raining. That's his problem. What does he do to get through the rainstorm and still go to the market? Especially if what he needs to buy can save somebody's life. You see? That's a very simple story. That can even be a short story. It could even be a comedy. It could be a horror. It could be any genre you want it to be. But you have a person who has a problem that he has to overcome. And then we wonder, will he overcome it or will he fail? Will the person that he's trying to buy whatever he needs to live or die? That's just basically every story has that. So in coming up with a story, you have to have a hero, a character. You also have to have what he's coming up against. Can we have the next line, please? The hero. This is basically I know this is I think that's Denzel Washington, but I just put his face there because he usually plays the hero part. It's always about a character. And the next, please. The next slide, thank you. These are just images just to stimulate you, so I'm not just talking. The villain. The villain can be a man, could be a woman, can be a thing. Can we go to the next? The villain, because of the villain in the presence of the character, you have conflict. Now, conflict is what your character goes against in the story. If a story doesn't have conflict, like that story about the man who wants to go out and buy something in the market, it is the rain. The rain is his enemy. The rain is his villain. The rain is that thing that will stop him from getting what he wants. These are visual images to give you ideas of the types of conflicts. Now, on this side, the normal type of conflict everybody knows, war, fighting. That's a form of conflict. Yeah. Man versus man. Man wants something, another man is trying to stop him from getting what he wants. Can anyone guess what the second one is? The one with the tree and the lightning? weather, nature. You see, Americans are very good at this. It's either a tornado is going to come to our town and scatter us, except if in 36 hours we can save ourselves. So the conflict is against nature. Or a planet is coming and it's going to destroy Earth and we're all going to be done. They have built genres on that. I don't know whether in Nigeria we've even never done something like that. It's flooding in Lagos. How are we going to survive? You see, that's even this. And that's a story Lagosian people, Abuja people don't, Lagos, communities will start rowing boats, yacht. I say yacht, I mean, people will be rowing. You see, that's the story. The third one, can anyone tell me? Man versus... The third one. Yes, man versus the system. This is a perfect example. In Nigeria, in Lagos, we call them lasma or loma. Loma stops your car. You're already in conflict. When you stop, you're in conflict with the system. The system is these people can stop you anytime, whether you did wrong or don't, or they suspect you did wrong or didn't. Last one. Now, I know that they're a force for good, but some people have abused it. So there's a system among them that, tends to abuse. What do you do? Man versus system. Even in the Bible, was it Daniel was against the system? They say you should bow. Daniel said, I ain't bowing. I ain't bowing. Do what you can, I ain't bowing. Most of us will bow, and there'll be no story. But the story is when the conflict comes against you, and instead of you sitting down and say, okay, I'll bow, I'm using just to bow. I mean, you can be abusing them, They say Yorubas can do it a lot. We're bowing. But Daniel said no. He stood against the system, and he knew the repercussions. If he didn't stand against the system, there will be no story. It's just like saying if you didn't stand against the conflict, there will be no testimony. There will be no... So in your individual lives, you're running your own story in your life right now. When you say, I don't know how to write a story, think about your life. I want to pass exam. What is coming against me? Is it corrupt lecturer? Is it the fact that I have problem reading? Look at your life, and you will understand that your life is a story. So that one is the end was taken from the NSAS movement. So you can tell. What about this one? Man and Beast. I think the movie came out earlier this year. Yeah. Right? Or is it still in cinemas? The Beast. That is a man. Can you imagine just a story about a man and a beast or a monster? Now, this one's a lion. They have done the ones in which is one Godzilla or one gigantic creature from Mars will come and it'll be conflict. That's what the conflict is about. That's another type of story. But as you said, these ones have evolved mostly from America because they just had to come up with things. I think they got bored. So they had to just keep coming up with all these things, which, to commend them, they're very quite exciting. And then the next one, what's that one about? Relationship, marriage, like emotional. That one did not need storm, hellfire, or a planet coming to destroy us. It didn't need a political system. And it wasn't, it's actually caused by man because, emotional marriage, but it's a different type of conflict. It's emotional. Those ones are easier to write because everybody can relate to it. Breakfast. Everybody can relate to that. That's why love stories sell. That's why, because when I was in Teen Cell, actors will come and say, why don't you give my character a romantic, love story? And we're looking at them like, can't you be more creative than that? Because they know it's cheap and easy. find boyfriend for somebody and then let them have problem. Hey, people will watch me more. People like relationships. People like to know what relationships are going on, what's going on. People want to feel the heartbreak because it's like, that's how it happened to me. That is how he cheated me. Hey! And all those things. Then the last one. I'm sure. Kai! You guys are too smart. Man versus himself. It's not a monster. It's not a system. It is you. It could be your anger issue. It could be your addiction issue. It could be your attitude issue. You've got to fix it because that attitude is stopping you from progressing. It's stopping you from achieving. It's stopping you from getting that job because they say you have too much bad attitude. So you have a character. And the usual thing is the character thinks they're okay. They think they're fine. Because when it's yourself, it's harder to see that you are your own enemy. You see, so these are the types of conflicts. Can we switch to the... So basically, you got it right. Conflict between man and man, conflict between man and society, conflict between man and nature, conflict between man and himself. So that's it. Can we move on, please? So those are the types of conflict. Before I go to story structure, let me talk a bit more about being a writer. Why? Why do you want to be a writer? If somebody had actually sat me down and told me the journey it would take, I would have said, maybe I should have gone for that banking job or banking interview. Because being a writer is not like being in a bank where after maybe 2 years you're open for review. There's a new position, there's that position you've already mapped out. Okay, by 2 years I should be in this position, and by another 1 year I should be in this position. It ebbs and it flows. There are peaks and there are valleys. And the valleys will make you ask yourself, that are you sure? It will make you question yourself. And that's the reality of it. Passion will make you start off on this journey, but stamina is what will keep you in it. And that's the truth. I have writers today that their landlord asks them, what do you do? Are you 419? You stay at home from morning to night? We don't, you call, you bring home money, but we're not sure. You say you're a writer. They say, write what? What are you writing? We read English, so does that make me a writer? What differentiates you between anyone who writes and being a creative writer is the craft. So the training. I've trained with writers that the first idea that comes out of their heads, they think is gold. Nobody can touch it. Nobody can criticize it. And sometimes it's good. But sometimes you have to be able to listen to critique. And creatives can be even me, I will complain. How can't you criticize? You don't understand, but I'm listening. And I'm going, okay, am I writing it wrong? What am I missing here? You should be open. You should be teachable. And that's part of process. Go to school. Learn screenwriting. If you can't, go online. What helped me was I grew up at home watching all these American TV movies and British BBC. I didn't know I was getting an education because I started seeing patterns, beginning, middle, end. I could recognize the patterns because they are there. It's like Ojoro. Every time you watch a film, there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. Are we in the beginning part? No, it's like we're in the middle. Okay, we're wrapping up to the end. It's done so smoothly that sometimes you don't notice. But if you watch enough movies, you notice the pattern. There's a pattern. Some say it's a formula, but it's still a pattern. It's called story structure. Beginning is always when we see the character, we see the world. Is it taking place in Abuja, Lagos, London? We are introduced to the characters. And by the end of the beginning, we're introduced to the conflict. The conflict is to tell us, what's this film about? Okay, it's man versus nature. Okay, it's man versus himself. Okay. And then the middle. After this, we have recognized the enemy, the villain, the man versus who. What happens? The confrontation, which is the middle act. The middle act is the longest part of the movie, and usually where writers get lost. Because that is when the craft of screenwriting, that is when you can get tired and like, I beg, I'm not writing this thing, it's not making sense. And for writers that are not yet strong, they start introducing new characters. You start adding things that were not there in the beginning. It's like, okay, you said the story happened, only in an office. Then the next thing, they're on the moon. How did they get there? No, it felt boring, so I needed to inject new. You've lost the plot. That's when they say you lost the plot. It's like you're not adding things that don't really make sense. And then, God willing, you successfully finish the middle and then you wrap up on the end. In every movie, either good or bad, there's a lesson to be learned. If a movie is I'm talking from the one I know, which is screenwriting, which means I write for movies. A movie is bad. Learn from it. Why is it bad? What went wrong? Sometimes I read critiques of movies and I'm like, these are not critiques. You're just saying he should have worn a blue shirt instead of a red shirt. And the way he laughed. Okay, can critique the actor, critique the story. What went wrong? Was it middle? Was it the beginning? Was it the end? So that is story structure. Every story has a structure. And that's one of the easiest things that you would learn. There are different types of structures, but you can master the structure, then you can start messing with it. But master it first. From architecture, foundation, then the top, then the roof. Beginning, the middle, and the end. You can't start from the top, from the roof, and then go to the building and then build the foundation last. You build up. So that's the basic thing about story. Now back to career in writing. Write your story. The wonderful thing about now that I didn't realize when I started, I envy those who own their content, produce their content, and show up in their content like my Oga here. Please clap for him. Clap for him. If I had known that earlier, because the truth is, what's the last film anybody here ever watched? Okay, you watched it. Who wrote it?
I know who made the film.
Yeah. You know who acted in it? Yes.
He acted in it. Kunle Afolayan is the producer. He acted in it. Not the main character. But honestly, I don't know who wrote it.
And that is the life of a screenwriter. Even if you said you watch Endgame. Endgame.
Endgame. Fantastic movie.
Who wrote it?
No clue.
Who wrote it? So we're the unsung heroes. The only time they remember us is when they don't like a film. Who wrote this film? Who wrote this rubbish? It's like when you see a house that falls down. Who built it? Who designed? Who is the architect? They forget their engineers. Where are the engineers? Where are the plumbers? Where are the structural engineers? But they say it's the architect's fault. It's the architect. Meanwhile, the architect has finished work, drawn his plan, handed it to the engineers who decided that, in fact, we need less structure, we need to reduce this, and then they start doing the thing, and then the thing turns out the way it is, and then everybody blames the architect. So that was one thing that it didn't really occur to me, that the only people that know you are the producers. They are the producers. And that is such a collaborative work that when you finish writing your script and give it to the company or whoever ordered it, bye-bye. In fact, some don't even want to see you again. In fact, some don't even invite you on set. In fact, sometimes it's good they don't invite you on set because if you see what you see, you will scream. Yes, it happened to me. I started vibrating. Why are they shooting it like that? They can change it. And then sometimes it's a creative change that you were not made aware of, but it works. So sometimes directors don't want writers there. I've been on a set where they told me, don't talk to the actors. The actors came from a drama background. Now, drama background, usually the director is also the writer. So they wanted to ask me questions, and the film director said, no, you're confusing. If they talk to you, you probably tell them something slightly different to how I want them to act. It's just that the director has to direct them in the way he feels appropriate. It could still work with the script, but maybe not the way I would say it. But then it's also a question, who owns the power, the director or the writer? When a movie is about to be made, that's when they remember the screenwriter. Because you need an idea. You need a foundation. And that's when they look for screenwriters. And they go to film festivals abroad. Abroad people do not know Genevieve. They don't know, maybe some do. They don't know all your local actors that you love. So they're not saying, oh, we'll watch it because of Genevieve. No, they'll watch your film because of the story. What is the African story? I want to see from African point of view. Because if they watch your stories, they feel they may understand you a bit more. The way we seem to understand Americans, when we understand why they talk like that, and, I got to collect my welfare and blah, 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 blah. Even we know welfare. We don't have welfare in Nigeria, but we know they have welfare. I got to pay my taxes. What taxes? This was just a few years before that we started paying taxes in Nigeria. I got to think of the mortgage. Somebody wrote a script. He's Nigerian. And the guy had a problem. His problem was his mortgage. I was like, wait. I said, mortgage, okay. And I could tell that he had been so influenced by American culture that he felt mortgage. Since over there, they always complain about the mortgage. This person, the mortgage is a good conflict to have, mortgage. I had to call, I said, my sister, mortgage is not working. It's not working. We don't have mortgage. Find the Nigerian equivalent, be here. Don't try to impress, And what's more, the lady was driving in a car and a policeman stopped her. Madam, can you step out of the vehicle, please? Can we have you? I was like, she didn't say with accent, but with the way the dialogue was going, I was hearing American. So I had to call her back and say, right for here. I know you're trying to feel, okay, I want to be international. I want to, In fact, recently, I had a meeting with people on Netflix. And they say what they want is to produce content that people in the area, local content. If the local people like it, the global people will appreciate it. So it's not you trying to write like an American. Now, I'm not saying that because of the global culture that there's been a mix, because right now we even know what's happening in America, sometimes before the Americans. Even sometimes our friends abroad know what's happening in Nigeria before even we do. So everything's kind of mixed up. But still, don't forget the identity of being in Nigeria, and that is the one card you have. Even Pidgin English. When he was speaking, it was so sweet. I was like, damn. My own is a bit too clean. And even when I try to write Pidgin, sometimes I know that sometimes not well cooked. I have to call somebody and please, Tell me how you say this, how, especially if the character is like that. If that character is somebody who speaks worry, no, I have to bring a worry person in. I say, oh boy, please help me. I don't know and the person will give me, I'll be like, this is sweet. Can an American do that? Can any other person do that? No. And the thing is, when you write like that, you are touching the hearts of your people because they see themselves represented. And it feels real to them. And once your audience feel it, then they believe the story. And they're like, okay, I'm ready. You've done the assignment. Let me watch this story because I believe the character. Because this character looks like me, sounds like me, behaves like me, is in a world that represents me or that I am in, imbibing. Okay, back to screenwriting. So that is why I appreciate people I have to say appreciate. Because he has his content. We write for people. And people have their own agendas. Has anyone here ever watched Tinsel? Do you realize that they never go to church? They never go to a mosque. We never talk about religion. We never talk about maybe spirituality, maybe a bit, but we never go there. Am I saying it's wrong? No. But this was one of the things they put in place because they felt they don't want to upset anybody. So let's keep religion out of it. Have you noticed how hard it is in American movies to hear in the name of Jesus? You can hear God. But, in fact, I was so influenced by American TV when I was a child that I realized that whenever somebody is upset, especially if it's a young person, they run away. It's like, I hate you. Where are you going? In Nigeria, where are you going? So one day I tried it on, who was it? I think it was one of my brothers. I don't know which one. I don't know whether it was Reverend Shala. I don't know either he was bullying or teasing me. And then I ran. As I was running, I was like, where am I going, Seth? Where are you going? I had picked up a mannerism that is totally alien and foreign to my culture. As a child, I had absorbed it. In fact, I developed an accent in primary school. I talked funny. I didn't know because I had watched too much TV. So they were laughing at me. I was like, what's the problem? What's the problem? They're like, how are you sounding like? And my primary school was Air Force Base. So, like military kids. So, and I didn't even know. Honestly, up to this day, I don't know why my mom took me there. Because, man, those people were tough. So I was the only outsider. They hung up to, like barrack people. Barrack kids. What? And then I'm like, hey, where's she from? Why is she talking like that? And they will laugh. And I'm wondering, what's the big deal? Let me even tell you a story. In fact, after school, I ended up in a radio job. And back then, thank God, the radio now, they talk normal. But it was encouraged to talk like an American and say, good morning, Lagos. You're listening to blah, 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 an FM station. Yes. And Nigerians were chopping it then. But now we are like, I beg, proudly Nigerian. But there's still some people, that like that. And actually, to be honest, in our culture, there are some people that, when they talk, we won't give respect until some people in their mentality until we start hearing the accent. And then it's like, oh, okay, it's like this person is traveled. The thing is, now you have a lot of people, a lot of accents. We don't know where it's coming from or where it's going. We don't. And everybody just, and the worst thing is, it has seeped into acting. When we act in our native dialect, we're more natural because we're being ourselves. Whether it's Yoruba, Igbo, or I even hear that there's a show that's going to be all Igbo. And I was like, yes, about time. Now, as an actor, you should actually be able to do different ones. But for Nigerian actors, when Tinsel started, I started noticing all this accent, and I wasn't comfortable with it. I was like, why can't they talk like themselves? They were reading English. And so when in their mind, they're like, this is English. They now stiffen up and put up airs. And the funny thing with acting is when you're faking it, people can tell. When you're not being real, we can tell. Okay. And some people have taken out that is acting. And they're blowing accents. And when I say blowing accent, the accent is not gelling. Even the accent is like, I don't even know where I am, where I'm from. And some people who hear the accent and they don't know any better will treat you better because, she's speaking with an accent. Luckily, I have a sister that whenever people blow too much accent, she now becomes local. She say, It's like the higher you go, she say, okay. She now goes down. Just because it's like, I beg, please, too much work. Let's come down here. Yeah. So back to screenwriting. You want to be a screenwriter. It will test you. It will test you. You have to show you love it before it loves you back. That's what I tell people. Just like you produce content, you have to keep on. You can't say take no for an answer. You have to love it. Like, I love it. I love it. I can't do anything. And just continue. God sees your heart. He sees your effort. We'll crown it with success. Just keep on going. People ask me, so how do you get the gigs? The thing is, it's tougher in Nigeria because we don't have structure. Abroad, you have screenwriting schools. You have writing classes. They teach TV. It's just now that people are waking up to it because they have seen that, this is a viable opportunity of making money. I have friends who the only reason they got the job was they put a pager on Facebook. Like maybe they wrote a script, 1 page, and just said, I write scripts. And somebody said, come, let's try you. Then, just like, sorry again, I have to refer to you. Some people will write a script, and then they are scared that somebody will tiff it, which is a real fear. They would, my intellectual property, they would take it from me. Yes, the thing is you actually need wisdom in that field, but the truth is, if nobody reads your work, how are we going to know whether you can write? If you have a 1-page script that somebody can thief, then that means maybe you're a good writer. And if you can do 1, that means you can do 10 or 20. Don't be discouraged. Somebody has to see your work or read your work. You have to be able to risk it. To be honest, there are producers that steal people's work. They do. And it's very insultive. Because sometimes they take it at their own, mess it up. And you're like, if he had only come to me and said, right, I would have told him how sweet the story was going and everything. And the thing is, in this industry, there are a lot of sharks like that. And I would not lie, and that's the truth. But I have built a career writing for other people. Other people's measures or standards. I liken it to a fashion designer. If somebody said they wanted a mini skirt this short, would I sew it if I'm the best fashion designer? If they say, you're a fashion designer, but I wanted this short, and you're thinking, okay, why are you wearing that? That is not even biblical dressing. Except I tie a scarf with it. Okay, I'll make a scarf to join. So if somebody comes to you and says you should write a horror film, would you write it? A thriller? Pornography? He said it, I didn't say that. He said it. Money ritual. And the amazing thing, all these are conflicts, which shows that where did conflict begin? From the Garden of Eden. We were minding our business until that fruit got eaten. There was no conflict on earth. Adam did not have conflict with God. Man did not have conflict. Adam did not have conflict with Eve. But once that fruit, the knowledge of good and evil, suddenly screenwriting industry started. Because suddenly there's story. When somebody say, hey, come, there's story, everybody's like, what? You think we want to hear good news? We want to hear what happened. He beat him. Hey, he punched him. Conflict. Even all these things. Man versus nature. Is it nature? Was that the nature God intended? Man versus beast. Man versus himself. Yeah. So this whole business is actually built on on what? On conflict. Does that mean that we can't tell good stories? Of course, it tells good stories of people overcoming. That's why the Bible says the Bible is the book of heroes. Heroes who overcame. Heroes of the Bible, Abraham, Daniel, all those people, they overcame all manner of beings. And that's why even the Bible is the greatest script. It has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. Can we go to the next slide, please? I don't remember what it is. Or is it done? Oh, okay. 3-act structure. I think we just run through this one. This is basically the formula structure for a script. Maybe if we have time tomorrow, we can revisit. Can I have the next slide, please? Write and show what you only need. It's like when people tell a testimony. You see, I was trusting God for a shoe. And then I woke up, and as I woke up, I stumbled and I fell. And my toe injured me. And then I had to get plaster, but there was no plaster. So I had to go to the chemist. And when I came to the chemist, I saw this auntie for like, and I hadn't seen her in a long time. And she asked, how are you? And I said, oh, I'm okay and everything. But then she told me about her son. And then I greeted her son, and then I came back. And then when I came back, I was like, oh, okay, where are you going with this story? You're giving us extra background things that happen, but is it essential to the story? That's another thing when you're writing a story and you start giving us Jara we did not ask for. Jara that has no bearing on the plot. Unnecessary padding. And usually shows that you have lost track of your story. You've lost the plot. When they say losing the plot, that's virtually what it means. It means you started strong, but you lost your focus. You forgot what your story is about. Or what was it about? And because you got stuck, you got desperate and started adding things. Have you ever watched a movie in which a character that was not there for the first 1 hour, 30 minutes suddenly showed up and started performing things? And it seemed like that story was all about this person. And you're like, but what happened to the people in the beginning of the story? You know, or it started like, this is comedy. And then halfway it switches to horror. You set it up as comedy, and then now it's horror. I'm not saying that you can't switch, but the horror elements must have been in the beginning, in the DNA. The DNA of your story. It should be already there. So when it fully manifests, we're not shocked because you've been telling us slightly that this thing is not how you see it. Oh, this thing is there. So, and then how did I learn to write from pencil to paper? I didn't know how to type. I got my first laptop. This is how I was typing. Pam. Pam. I don't know how all of you started. Maybe people started because they're good with texting now. But I started one finger at a time. And then the fingers became faster. Then this one decided to help the other hand. And then one day I was tapping. I wasn't using, there's actually a science to typing. This one is for, honey, I was just writing. So don't say, I don't even have it right. You're even free. Write it. Keep it. Keep writing. It's never enough. Writing is rewriting. Don't say because I wrote 200 pages, it is perfect. It is not. Do you know how many drafts of scripts sometimes in Hollywood they go through 7, 10, 12? You just wrote one and you're screaming that is the best thing you've ever written. Nobody can correct you. There's always room for improvement. And it's because as artists, we're very sensitive. It's like, no, my writing's like my baby. I woke up, it took me 3 months to write this. You cannot just come and pick holes and say that. Okay, so how do you learn? How do you grow? And some of us, we do this is because we are creatives. But we didn't, maybe that was not the career we started with, maybe. But now we are giving ourselves to it and we expect everything to click like this because it's a talent you have. You still need to go through process. There are times I would get feedback notes. I'll be angry, even today sometimes, because you're still writing for people. And and what they say matters. So when they say, well, I don't understand this, sometimes you argue it out and you reach an understanding. Sometimes they see your point and they say, okay, you're right. And then sometimes they're just talking something. And you're like, how did they even understand? That's where your craft comes in. The sad thing is, I told somebody, sometimes we get notes from people who are not writers. How can you've never written a story, but you want to critique my story? And what makes the difference between me and you is the fact that I've gone through process. I am somebody who, with their script, it stands. People that don't know me, I get calls sometimes from people I've never met, and they say, we hear you're a good writer, we've seen your work, we like your work, and that's what has sold me. Even sometimes I go to film festivals and people that I've never, they say, oh, we know you. You don't know me, but I know you. I'm like, really? Okay, nice to meet you. It's your work that sells you. Your work that you can sell to a stranger who will not buy your script because he's your friend. Or produce your script because he's your friend. Sorry, is my time gone? I'm so sorry, so sorry. Can we finish? Simon, what's your story? The greatest story ever told is in the Bible. That's just want to say. Starring the biggest hero. Who is that? Jesus. Yes. Last slide, please. Thank you. All right. So please write your stories. Have fun.
Well, I hope you got something from that time. You have a question? Oh, wow, questions. Okay, so we'll take your question. 1, 2 questions. Thank you, Kemi. I just, it just was a little over 5, 6 minutes. That was, I almost felt she was preaching a sermon because the 3 parts to every story, beginning, the middle, the end. And you kind of saying, so what's the unfolding story of my life and how am I also helping to write that story? Because God just doesn't write a story without us. He writes it with us, together with us. And we're part of that entire mechanism of storytelling. But we all have a story. I just love what I heard. I think I need to start writing myself. You can start with a 5-pager. You can do a 1-page. And I'm sure Kunle Idowu has done, he shared his own story, but do a 1-page and you've got it all out there. Thank you again. Thank you for just guiding us through this. So question, okay, let's watch this video and then we'll take the question. I just wanted us to see this video by Kunle because I don't know, it just hit me when Kemi was speaking. So we'll watch this video and let's see it, guys.
They are frying egg. If it's me that handle this egg now, ordinary 4 egg, I will just break it into one small container. Bah! Take fork and mix it together. Cha 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 cha. Put frying pan for fire. Shout. Pour oil. Then I will just fry onion. Wicked onion. That if you near it, you will cry like your mother whip you. I will chop it into small. Pour it into the oil. Bass. Then find shombo. Fresh shombo. That's red like danger. Dash it into small. Back. Collabo it with onion inside of fire. Then add small salt to the egg. And go and find crayfish. To spice it. Mix it together. Then I will find agege bread. Soft one. That they have used butter to spoil the life. Soft bread. Press it together. Form burger.
That's it. That's a story. You wanted to say something about that?
What's the conflict? Hunger.
Hunger is a conflict.
It's the conflict. Precisely.
Hunger is
you're all right, as in fact.
Hunger is
Just
a
that right
conflict.
thing. You're right.
I mean, I feel like eating agege bread on it now. You know. So let's take your question and.
Okay. Good afternoon. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. My question, I wanted to ask a question from the aspect. There were two things you were talking about: what to write as the aspect of if you are presented with something like maybe horror. You talked about pornography. Then you talked about showing. You say you should show, not to tell, right? So I wanted to ask a part. Okay, you have a movie, something you are writing, and then you want to showcase a situation where there's a likelihood of an aspect of nudity in the movie. Like, for example, you want to tell a story from the aspect of, let's just say, for example, that I have seen it like this in my brain, sacrifice. An aspect, a lady with grieving or somebody grieving, and then there has to be that aspect of maybe you don't have to dress to the fullest. Maybe how can we take?
Okay, here's a challenge. In the Bible, where they said David saw Bathsheba bathing, what images do you see?
A naked woman.
Funny enough, I don't. Maybe she's half naked, but not fully naked. The thing is, there are subtle ways. There are very subtle ways. It's not until you show everything. And even sometimes, even the suggestion is even stronger than seeing a whole naked body.
I probably would even add this. If you watch Anikulapo as well, you find that. Trying to remember the characters now. You haven't. I can't remember her name. Saro's wife. The Rolake. There was a part where she was nude. And I saw on Twitter that she really wasn't nude. That it was prosthetics. The breast, all of that was fake. So she didn't show her nakedness. It was all part of the makeup. Now somebody may say, well, that still, kinds of entices. Again, it's not so it's not a Christian movie. It's not mainstream Christian, but it's interesting to note that whereas somebody would think the actress is given to nudity, she actually didn't show herself. That's a totally different compartment from what is being said. I would say this, that generally we must understand that we're containers of values. And anything we're doing, we're going out into a space to mold culture and to shape culture based on kingdom values. And those are the things that should drive us. When we were having, lunch, Kunle was sharing, and he says, look, watch anything he does. He's not going to curse. And once you've drawn the line, Denzel Washington, and we saw that yesterday, you can't get him to be doing any reckless kind of, thing in his movie. So he's been able to define and draw the lines. And it's because he's a person of faith. So we must also learn to draw the line and know this, that we're not just out there to, it's not about making money. And you spoke about it this morning, where basically the world is in a crisis. The world is in trouble. The world and those who hide behind the scenes are pushing an agenda, whether it's gay agenda, whether it's whatever agenda it is. What agenda are we carrying in there? And I think for me, that's the primary thing that must drive everything we do out there. Hope that helps you. Okay. So we have so many questions. A question at the back, we'll take that quickly.
Okay, my question is, she talked about how when you're writing, you shouldn't dabble into other aspects. If you are writing, for example, a tragic story, you should, the story that you depict from the beginning should have a way of streaming through the end of your story. So how do you put measures in place as a writer in order not to go off track? You checkmate. How do you checkmate yourself?
From the beginning, it's like if you're an architect and you're required to build a structure, is it a hospital? Is it a hotel? Is it a school? They have characteristics that define a school, that define each one. So you can't suddenly put a swimming pool in a classroom, like in a hotel. Even people will be like, that's very strange. So from the beginning, the DNA of your story, you have to know what the characteristics of the genre you're writing for. When I say genre, it means a type of story. Is it a romantic type, thriller type, horror type, comedy? Now, it doesn't mean that, because nowadays there are mishmashes of comedy, stroke horror, plus this. But usually those that write it, they're really very good writers because they know. It's like master the genre. Then you can now play with it anyhow. But if you haven't mastered it and you're just like, oh, I thought it was a horror. Sometimes you have producers that you're writing for, and then in the middle, they'll tell you that, you know that love story we're writing, it should be a horror. And they're not asking you to start from the beginning. They're asking you to continue. And you're like, but that's not what we agreed. So that's why I even tell writers from the contract, if we're writing a comedy, you should say comedy. Don't halfway tell me that, oh, no, we should turn it into a horror mystery. So you yourself should know the characteristics of the genre you're writing for. You can mix it if you want, but usually those things start in the beginning. There have been some exceptions that somehow have worked, but those are the exceptions. Anybody remember Jennifer? Started as a comedy, then they were cutting heads and chopping people. I was like, what happened? What happened? That was it was a switch. And maybe because we like the story enough, sure, why not? It worked, but it's not the rule. It's not the usual, that's not the usual path to take. And you're taking a risk when you do that. Because for somebody who doesn't know you, they'll just say, this person doesn't know what they're writing. Because how did we, or you start with romance, boy and girl holding hands, singing love songs, suddenly they're chopping off people's heads. If that's the type of horror you had intended it from the beginning, somehow you would have left clues in the beginning that something's going to happen, something's going to happen. And then when it happens, we're like, yekba. And then when you watch it again, you're like, hey, they were telling us, we just didn't see it. So I hope that answers your question.
All right. I hope it does. Okay, so we've taken those. We'll take the last question. Let me make this announcement before I forget. Tomorrow we're going to be starting early. Chidera is going to be joining us tomorrow, and that's going to be a powerful session. Now, there's going to be free lunch tomorrow for the first 50 people who enter this auditorium. Fried egg with shombo. And then I think Gary and Ekpa for the last, that's on you. So first 50 people, tomorrow you get a ticket, and those 4 people must be here before 10. Deal? Or no deal? All right. We'll start at 10 because tomorrow is our last day and there's a lot of ground to cover. The last question, and then we can take a break.
Okay, good afternoon. In story writing, is it okay you have like 2 conflicts? Would that be too much?
Hello? Not at all. In fact, sometimes there are 2 layers of conflict. You can have man versus man. For example, a man can be hunted by a beast, yet he's trying to deal with his addiction, which cripples his efforts to try to defeat the beast. So that's man versus himself, man versus the beast. And some will even say, if they want to be very intellectual, that you see the beast represents the addiction that guy is going through. So while he's fighting with his inner demons, he's also fighting the beast on the outside and the beast on the inside. And people will say, deep storytelling.
Yes.
Kunle Shorinyo has a question.
So I have a question for Mr. Kunle and our dear sister. So I work in a strategic space and a futurist space. So in America, and I want you to speak to this very strongly, particularly about writing your own story and what is going on here, writing about what is going on here, and writing the fact of what is going on here. So Rambo, for example, is not real, right? But it's an agenda. If any military, the Nigerian soldier has a complex for facing the U.S. Marine, there's a lot that has been done, Delta Force, deliberately putting hype on the U.S. Marine and making him more invisible than he is, larger than life. And other nations have to talk to their army and say, it's not real, though. You know, it's an ordinary, you can kill him. You don't believe that. They have to cite themselves to overcome Hollywood before they can fight that soldier. Because Hollywood is not just for fact and truth. It's also for advocacy and propaganda. And there is a way you have to invent your lie deliberately, away from a lot of things I see in the movie about police officers. I live in America. It's not like that. The police are not always the way it is on so many levels. There's a lot of systemic issues that are not represented in the movies. American homes don't have fences. It's deliberately, it's an illusion of security, right? And they build all of those things at a level that fights for national security, that gives a reputation about America, right? And so in Nigeria, we have a problem. We're not telling our stories right. So if we speak the truth and fact on our stories a lot of times, we will be telling the truth, but we are also not fighting for our own narrative and not telling our stories right. So is there a balance in writing, in managing national imagery, in pushing out necessary propaganda, in putting out necessary advocacy? Is there a place for not writing what is going on and actually writing what is not going on as what is going on, as the hope of what will go on later, and as a deliberate attempt to begin to imprint into our observers the reality of what we need to begin to believe? Are these things possible at all within that space?
Let me talk first. Number one, the propaganda being pushed by Hollywood is backed by the U.S. government. That's why when 9/11 happened, I couldn't believe it. You mean Superman did not come flying out to save them? This is a Superman type of situation. Or that the CIA, FBI, that in films, they're always invisible, Men in Black, the way they step out, they have all these secrets. You mean they could not stop this? And then also look at our government. I know more about American history when I left university than Nigerian history. I knew barely nothing about Biafra, except when I met somebody who was from the East. Because the government felt if we teach it then we are causing division. But they don't know that the thing is, if you do not teach what happened in the past, you are doomed to repeat it because you do not realize what war means. It's an abstract concept, but those who went through it, who tell the stories of how they suffered and starved and people died, they know what it is. So our government does not push the telling of Nigerian history, especially from a point of maybe the heroism. I mean, even now, the person who wrote the national anthem, how many people remember who he is? There was a picture of a man in Olympus drawing book. For years, I wondered, what is this man lying? That picture looked very abstract to me, but until they said he was the first Nigerian Olympian. And he died because he did not support the Biafran War. I didn't know who he was. Our heroes, we don't sing about them. But I know about Martin Luther, the king. I know about American heroes. I knew about the Civil War. I know about slavery because they tell the stories. And they tell it and tell it and tell it and tell it and tell it. Our government feels that it will cause division, so let's not say it. There was a film that came out, The Milkmaid. It had to do with, I think, northern terrorism. And they refused it to be played in Nigerian cinemas. It could only be played in festivals because they felt it was too touchy. If I write a script based on what's happening in the north, there's a way I have to write it. Okay, for instance, I was called on a project that had to do with it's 3 young men hijacked a plane in protest of Abiola election being nullified. This really happened. This is a fantastic story, youth, and they were not doing it for money. They believed in a cause. And they felt we are hijacking this plane because we're protesting what the government did, blah, 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 blah. But then what happened? Silence. I remember this happened in the 90s, so this was a long time ago before social media. Isn't that an interesting story? It should have been made into a film years ago. Those boys were locked up in prison and silently left out after 15 years, and nobody knows their story. Thankfully, somebody's picking up their story, but even then, they're trying to be careful, like, we don't want to upset the government. You know, the political people of that time, they're still alive. They'll say, what agenda are we pushing? This is your own government. America has that thing of freedom. You know, Americans, they love their freedom. We're Americans, we'll say what we will, blah, 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 blah. This is America, I'll say, Here, there's the censorship board who will tell you, you cannot say that, you cannot do that.
I'm not talking about the negative things. Like, if I have a vision for the Nigerian police, so if I now show a policeman greeting in a different way,
yes,
I am imprinting in the masses a different thing.
Yes.
So I'm not just trying not to tell our story. I'm actually telling what our story should be.
That is what we call aspirational.
Perfect.
And that's beautiful.
Okay.
That is beautiful. Sorry to go on the negative.
No, it's okay. I just wanted you guys to get that. That is also visioning at that level.
The thing is, you just have to balance it.
Yeah.
So that we don't feel which Nigeria is this.
The argument I probably would have, and it's not an argument, is that so when you look at Navy SEALs in America, you can't deny that they go through rigorous training. So they're pushing the envelope, but within certain boundaries.
Correct.
And I think that inspiration does work. Yes. If you push the Nigerian police story out of the reality on ground, you see, so there's a context. If we did a story, this is my take, if we did a story on military training and we actually go through the rigors and then we push it times 3 to say that, look, the Nigerian soldier, look, put him in the midst of whatever crisis. One man can kill 300. The training that everybody can see and relate with supports any aspirational thought. But if there is no foundation of training, and we're pushing that you can kill 300 men, I think there will be such a huge gap. And then when the foreigner comes, you see, I've been to the US, you live there, but I've been to the US and I've not seen what you see in terms of their police, and except, what we see, on mainstream media and some of these instances. I still feel America is a safe place. That's me from the outside. And they've sold me that story. So if we say, for example, the North is safe, and an investor comes and is kidnapped in the same North, that your story is wrecked. So I feel that we should do it, but we should know how we do it and not push it outside the envelope of reality, and it just is a bubble out there that will burst easily. I don't know. Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Please, he wants to add something.
Thank you for that suggestion. It's a very noble one. Personally, when I talk about writing, maybe workshops or festivals or master classes, there are three things I always say that your story must score high on. One, simplicity. Make it simple, not too complicated. Everybody wants easy, nobody wants to go into mental gymnastics. Make it simple, straightforward. Two, believability. It has to score pretty well too. And the third thing is relatability. So your story has to be simple, believable, and relatable. You can make it simple, straightforward. Nigerian Rambo, big muscle, tall guy. We have some of them in there. I mean, I've seen a couple of them. Dresses well, buff, good marksman. He's probably going to be on the presidential guard. On the bodyguard of the president. You won't find him on the street. So if you want to write that, yeah, that's fine. I've seen the White House, the Oval Office in movies. I don't know what the office of my president looks like. So there are certain secrecies that may make that difficult. You can make it. The question is, can we make it? Oh, yes, we can. Now, will it be acceptable? That's a totally different conference. Yeah.
So when you see...
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not your reality today at all. Just a sweet story.
Yeah.
The relatability is energy, not fact.
Yes.
So you are talking about relatability with fact. There's resonance with energy, where what we are talking about is not real. Like horror movies, a lot of what they are putting there is not real. But it relates with your sense of fear. It can relate with your sense of thoroughness, your sense of anxiety.
Yes.
There's no fact in that, but there's energy in that.
Yes.
Okay, so you then have maybe Inspector Julius that I know, real life story.
Yes.
Ordinary human being. I had a case in 2017, which was the worst financial case I ever had, right? I was exposed to hundreds and hundreds of millions, right? This man, and I'm not exaggerating, if I have found a physical man of integrity in my life, of all the human beings I know, and I know a lot of people, he will be number one. He's a police officer. He did, incredible things I don't even believe Nigerian police can do. If I am a writer, I would do a true life story on Inspector Julius. I will underscore the corruption in Nigerian police, but I will also underscore that people like him exist, and I will show him on his job. So I'm not going to come and lie that this does not exist. In all those movies too, right? They write those stories that are still contextual. Do you understand? But they bring two things. Either a true life event of what is not scaling, that they need to scale, or something that is not scaling at all, but there's a possibility. They don't deny what is going on, but they show us all of that, like Space 1999. Now we have gone to the moon. Now we are going to Mars. At that time, it was just ideas, right? So what I'm saying is that, and at times it's not government, man. At times maybe liberals. Liberals have their agenda. It's nothing to do with government. Conservatives have their agenda. Individual billionaires have agenda. They will make a story on a particular research or a product they want to introduce in 5 years' time that they are doing research now. So all kinds of things happen. I'm just saying that people have a call maybe as an advocate, or, and then he wants to begin to speak to something, right, that does not need anybody's approval. He just wants to, so maybe what I would say is energy, the sweetness of it, or the fear in it, or the transformation in it, maybe future Oshodi. If I want to show that Oshodi can look like this, do you understand? It will be communicated in a way that people know what Oshodi is, but I'm talking about future Oshodi, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. And that, so stories at times can be in that realm. Now, in my job as a strategic, as a futurist, people who want to write some stories, and all of that, call us to meetings. We actually say, okay, what is life in 2050? How is real estate in 2050? How can we bring it into what we are doing now? It's not real yet. They can say, how is hospitality in the next 50 years? And we look at it with our own minds and say, this is it, right? There is a cartoon that said that there was COVID in 2020. I've forgotten about the cartoon. See, this is 2020. So this just happened, right? This was in the 90s that this cartoon came out, right? The Simpsons, for example, showed a black president. The Simpsons showed that Donald Trump was president. So people infuse different things, even of your reality. That even when Donald Trump came physically to become president, nobody still believed him. How much more when he was in the cartoon? Do you understand? So that's what I'm trying to say. Can people, and as experts, I'm saying, can people own that kind of reality? That's their own unique expression.
Yes. The answer to anyhow you look at it is yes. Like you said, yes, I do believe some of these stories exist. But what I'm just saying is, with the example of the Oval Office in America, is that these stories now have to be made available. Like your experience with that officer. There's also a story about a Nigerian ship that sank, and one man survived after how many weeks? Was it 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something? Yeah, the guy was in the belly of the sea. It was Nigerian Marines with other guys, foreign guys that went to dig him out. He was the last survivor. That one, I'm waiting for the day it will drop from Hollywood. All of us we wear African attire and go to red carpet. Like we did with Wakanda. As if we don't know African stories before. As if we don't know the story of Bashorun Gumola in Ibadan. As if we don't know the Jebu Dere and we have the stories, but people, we're not. So individual stories like that, once they're made available, Nigerian soldiers, there are a few of them that can do that and definitely can be marketed. But then propaganda and all those things, somebody needs to fund it. And if the intention is box office, then you have to put all the elements of, maybe not necessarily the Rambo example that you started with, of course, but that can be. The only thing is that by the time Nigerians see a big muscled Nigerian Rambo killing terrorists, you can wonder, no. So that can be done. It's just that how we tell it is going to matter.
Just to wrap what he said, you can write anything because you're literally creating. If it's Nigeria in the year 2070 and we're all living in space or something, write it. It's just that the person who produces has to make it real. It has to become real.
Thank you. It's good to have this dialogue at the front row and for you to also be witnesses to it. Because this is what, deep conversations like this is what pushes us ahead. And what appears sometimes like conflict and dispute is really how we get better at this, assignment that we do. Well, we've come to the end of today. It's been a loaded day. Tomorrow is going to be the last day. And tomorrow is Salah. Yes, it is. I'm sure you know. Monday is a public holiday. I'm sure you know. Tomorrow is the Prophet's birthday, Eid al-Maulud. Monday is a public holiday, so you've got a long weekend. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Remember, you want free lunch? Just be here at 10. And we'll set the ball rolling straight away with Chidera, and then we'll have Kunle Idowu, Kemi, and we'll have, a couple of other platforms where we truly can dialogue and ask all the questions we can. God bless you guys. Thank you. And thanks to our media guys that are powering everything. Let's appreciate them. Now, okay, so pictures for front row personnel. We'll do that quickly.